What is up, you heathens and demons? You beautiful ass. What's
Sorry,
up, this one guy? Just started, so we're live.
nothing. Oh, hey. Yeah, I just got heading on to work. Just got home. I'm actually really freaking tired. All I want to do is sleep today. But money calls.
Yeah, I hear that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I got a first shift job that I'm interviewing for next week, but I'm not sure if I want to commit to a regular job again or if I want to go back into doing what, bartending and serving tables. And now that I do, it's, I by no means, I hardly make anything on YouTube, but it is a little bit, and it's some extra income that would help, and it would give me more time. So I'm not sure what the hell I'm gonna do yet. Um, and
You could
I
always open up your own business.
yeah.
That's what I did. It hasn't worked out as well, but it still has its little perks.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good for the most part. It's
I
like, oh,
almost
I'm my own boss.
I almost did way back in the shit, probably 2005, I would think. I was living in Grand Rapids, so it was a while ago. I can't remember. I'm old. But I was living in Grand Rapids, and the thing back then was um, coffee shops, and I was doing a lot of slam poetry. So I almost did. I almost started a slam poetry coffee shop deal thingy, and it fell through at the last minute. And I often wonder, what if I had started that little shop? What if I probably would have been happy.
Probably would have
Still,
been the next big Starbucks.
I'd still be, I'd be that 42-year-old guy at the coffee shop, doing his poetry still and chill and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be good at like poetry and rhyming, but like once you get out of it, it's hard to get back into it. Like I used to be able to just speak fluently and just rhyme and be able to rhyme
Mhm.
like all the time, like no one's business. And I can't do that no more. But I used to. It's like someone along the way criticized me, and it just stopped. And it's like
Yeah.
no more.
Hey, what's up, Free Spirit? I'm doing good. I don't want people to think that I'm in a dark place or something. I'm not. I'm doing really good. I was planning on doing that for a while. I figured, because of the circumstances, why not make the first atheist story live thing about drinking? And because I have been looking at my drinking a lot, but I'm doing really good. I feel pretty good. I feel pretty clear minded. And shit, I got off track of what we were saying. What were we talking about this one guy?
Coffee shops and
Yeah.
what else were we talking? Coffee shops and something else.
Rhymes.
But
So
rhymes, yeah, rhyming.
you're right though, because it is really hard to get back into it. I've been thinking about um, getting around some of my old slam poems that were specifically written to talk about spirituality or God, just to kind of show where my mind was at, maybe near the end of my theism. And I thought about doing that. Um, Maybe I will. I've started to stream a couple times. Started setting up a stream a couple times for it. What's up, Atheist Rationale?
Yeah, when I do.
Messenger will be in at some point. I sent him the link. I sent
Oh,
a new
cool.
person to the channel a link. His name is he's been in the chat lately. Jeremy Pace. So I told him to
I've seen
come in
them
whenever he's
around.
ready. Yeah, I told him to come in whenever he's ready. Anybody's welcome to come into the stream tonight. It's going to be an open. I do got a couple topics we can kind of talk about. Maybe come up with some more. I want to try to end it at 1 o'clock. I think 3 hour streams are long enough. And I think
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
once you get above that, I think people don't click on it just because it's way too long. Although
Yeah,
some
they're
of
like,
my
I'm not here to watch a saga of Star Wars now. You know,
yeah,
you can watch Star Wars with most of the chats that we have, which is awesome.
I would do it. Hey, what's up, Atheist Rationale? So yeah, I got a couple topics. We'll wait for some people to show up. There was another guy that I thought had sent me an email for tonight. That I think he disagreed with me on the rationality rules thing. So I told him, I invited him on. I can't find that email though, so I'm not sure what happened to it. Like I got so many emails, it's probably just hidden from my site or some shit. I'm just not seeing it. So if you show up, if you're in the chat, let me know, and I will send me another email. Let me know that I didn't send you a link because if you've got a criticism of anything that I've said regarding the rationality rules, essence of thought thing, then please come with it, and I'll clarify or I'll dig in, one of the two. So you're just getting out of work. We're not going to be hearing no crazy ass loud noises.
No, I'm heading into work.
Oh, so yeah. All right. So
yeah,
I figured. I was like, that's kind of weird. You're getting out of work.
I just quit my dad. Well, I guess my dad work job. Kids are asleep now. Stop making noise over there. Oh.
Yeah.
No, she has to eat. She's eating like a Rice Krispies. That's good.
My daughter turned.
It's gonna be too loud. Oh, sorry.
My daughter turned our dining room table into a fort and is sleeping underneath that. And I'm like, I'm going to be live all night. And she's like, I don't care. I'm going to be sleeping.
That's cool.
I'm like, all right. I'm all right.
We just got like a snow globe this morning. Not a snow globe this morning, but our daughter, we have like a, what's it called? Like a snow globe music box thingy.
Yep.
My mother got it for my girlfriend for Mother's Day. And my daughter loves the song on it, and she was playing with it, and she actually broke it today. They were all hiding. They were scared. So they're like, we broke it. And it was like, it's fine. Is everyone okay? Because they're like, you see this broken glass of it. I'm like, there's no blood, but you don't know. Like, is everyone okay? They're like, yeah, we're fine. You didn't get cut? No. Okay, good.
Lisa, for truth, I'll send you a link. Yeah, that's a good thing they didn't get cut. Children, man, they're so. Oh man, they're so.
Yeah,
there's something.
Them, especially mine.
Mine is really good, but she's sneaky, right? So, man, there I go saying that. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm saying right. Like I don't know why I'm saying that shit. It's fucking driving me crazy. I saw some conversation. It might have been when I was on Steve's channel for the after show for non-sec that somebody was talking about words, right? And there I go again, talking about words and how these words develop. And now, like, I don't know, for like the last couple of days now, I've noticed that I've been saying right, and I don't understand why. And I notice it as I'm saying it, and it bothers me as I'm saying it, but then I continue to say it's been driving me fucking crazy. But yes, Lisa, I will send you a link.
That's it, because I say that all the time.
Well, for me, like
I do that all the time.
It's
like,
always been yo.
Back to
like,
those three.
I've said yo since I was in like high school. I don't even know why anymore, and it drives me crazy. I notice it when I say it, and it drives me fucking crazy. I even type it. I even type it when I'm talking sometimes, or when I'm typing.
Oh yeah, I got to.
Oh man, it drives.
I always like try to do all my little what's it called? And I can't say the word. I can't say the. I'm trying to think of. It's a tongue twister. I got speech impediment. I've always had one. So like sometimes I get tongue twisted, and people are like, yeah, you can't talk. I'm like, I really can't.
I don't have a speech impediment. I have an accent impediment. Well, for one, I've always said it is I pronounce things how I read it, which is a real problem.
I do that sometimes too.
But I was born a Yankee, a Michigander, and then my dad moved us to North Carolina. And I mean, first time I moved down there, it was like '85, so I was like second grade, I think. Yeah, second grade, and then we moved back to Michigan with my mom for a year, and then we moved back to North Carolina in '87 in the fourth grade, and so I lost that Yankee accent that I had when I moved down south. Does GPH want to come in? Yeah, right. He's like a troll.
GPH never comes in. Yeah, I wish he would. I'd like to talk to him about his theism.
But my accent's all messed up. Sometimes, and then I also went to prison, which I've talked about, and I developed a really gangster dialect. So sometimes that comes out of me. People comment all the time on it, and it's like I can't help it, you motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like you don't know. Like I have like at least maybe 4 or 5 different ones that I go back and revert to. Like I have a little bit of country sometime, and then I have like my city boy.
Sometimes I get really country.
Then I have my little gangster, and then I have like my weird one.
I'm a little bit country and a little bit rock and roll.
Hey, what's up, Jeremy?
What's up, Knock?
Nice to meet you, man. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
We haven't really gotten started on the talk, just kind of shooting the shit, so feel free. Messenger reveals should be coming in, but he does have children and a wife, and so he'll be in.
Hey, he's in like a really weird time zone. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, he's in a really weird time zone, isn't he? Because like he's like I think 4 or 5, maybe even 6 hours behind me. So I know he's like 7 or maybe behind you or something like that. At least I thought he was. I don't know where he lives.
I'm not even sure. Like that's the whole thing. That's the worst thing about YouTube is time zones, man. Time zones. And I feel like I'm in the Eastern time zone, and I can never talk to people that I want to talk to because I'm in the Eastern time zone. Yeah,
I'm in Central.
So yeah, a lot of people seem to be in Central, and then Utah Outcast. Of course, they're out west, so our times are all fucked up. But when I was a third shifter, I could talk to X all night, and now it's like our times are kind of fucked up. All right, Lisa, yeah, I'll send it again. There you are.
By the way, Knock, you are far from an alcoholic. I'm ex-Navy. I know alcoholics.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm an alcoholic, so to speak. Like I think I have I'm just I have addictive tendencies, and I always have. I think it just runs in my family. I think it's hereditary. I've been told it's hereditary. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my problem. Is I use things in the wrong way.
Because people like me who get nicknames like the Iron Liver in the Navy, that's an alcoholic.
Yeah, especially in the fucking Navy. Holy shit.
Yeah, that nickname goes to whoever the command drinking champion is, and I had it.
Yeah, like I've always kind of been proud that I could like hang with anybody. I have hung with some Navy guys way back in the day. A lot of my friends went to the Navy. It was considered coming out of high school, we all thought that the Navy would be the easiest of the militaries boot camps. Not sure if that's true. I think that's something that we just assumed. I think I've actually heard the Air Force is pretty fucking.
Oh, Air Force is a cakewalk.
Yeah, it's pretty pie. But we always just, I don't know, for some reason we thought it was the Navy would be easy. And then I also wanted to be a SEAL. That was my dream, was to be a Navy SEAL. And yeah,
that training's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I've seen like the Discovery shit on it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I broke my leg last day of Hell Week.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. They say a lot of people get their bones broken in it. You know, like I couldn't imagine. I just want to see if I'm hardcore.
And they ask you, are you hurt or are you injured? If you're injured, we'll get you a medic. If you're hurt, we continue.
Yeah, my dad told me about that because my dad was Army, and my dad he was like a demolitions expert. So yeah, he was telling me about boot camp and all that shit. And when I'd come home from football practice crying, I don't want to do it no more, Dad. He's like, stop being a pussy. Let me tell you about the Army.
Yeah, my dad was 82nd Airborne in the Army. He jumped out of planes.
Yeah, that would be fucking cool. I have no fear. Well, I used to have a fear of heights until I went bungee jumping, and now I have no fear of heights anymore. And I just want to fucking jump out of everything.
Oh, I still have a fear of heights, and I went skydiving. I thought that would cure it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I'd be the unlucky bastard whose parachute didn't open. That would be me.
Yeah, but if you go your first time, you're strapped to somebody's back. It's always a tandem jump, your first jump.
Yeah. I need to do it. Like it's one of my bucket list things. Before I lose my right leg, go skydiving.
Hey, if you're quitting smoking, though, the thing to help out with that, buy vape.
Yeah, I tried vape. I quit smoking for 3 months with a vape. But then the last 2 times I tried the vape, it didn't work. Like I can't adapt back to the vape instead of the smoke for some reason. When before I had no problem doing it.
Stand it.
Yeah, because I quit smoking and I use a vape.
I was about to start Chantix, and then I've heard nothing but horror stories, and I already have really vivid dreams as it is because of I've been tested for my imagination and my creativity. It's really high. So I had the really super vivid dreams already as it is. So I'm really scared of trying Chantix because it gives you vivid dreams.
Yeah, with vapes too, you can smoke weed with the vape.
Yeah,
I know plenty of people who do that.
I actually have one. The vape that I do smoke. I got my camera off right now because I'm smoking weed. Let me get back over to it. The vape that I do smoke is THC. This is my medical grade stuff, and then I have my indica and my sativas, certain strains for certain things. I love so much that it's not illegal here anymore. But I am still used to it being illegal and self-conscious of it, so I turn my camera off when I smoke.
Texas, it sucks because our governor says he'll never legalize it.
There's hope, man, because like the right is starting to come to the marijuana issue. They're starting to realize it's not a win issue for them. And Texas, surprisingly, from what I've read, is slowly, very, very slowly becoming purple. So it's not.
We are purple. Ted Cruz almost lost.
Oh yeah. Beto was close, and I've been in one of my best friends actually lives in Texas. So I've known him since the 4th grade, and he's a Beto guy, and we aren't really talking anymore because I'm a Bernie guy, he's a Beto guy, and we're not.
I voted for Beto against Ted Cruz just because he's better than Cruz.
Well, I totally support him. The thing I'm disappointed with Beto was that Ted Cruz thing, his pledge not to take big money, and he took fossil fuel money. So to us progressives in the Bernie movement, it's like, all right, you're fake, and he probably isn't, but.
I just wish Bernie would take on some Tulsi Gabbard things because Tulsi Gabbard has some great ideas too.
Yeah. The thing that she scares about me, because I'm very libertarian when it comes to war, and I'm very anti-war, and she scares me with the war thing. But I've always been a big Tulsi fan.
No, she is 100% anti-war.
Well, I'd have to look into it
because she's military.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that, but I'd have to look into it. I know there was a couple things that I was sketchy about, but the thing about Tulsi Gabbard is there's so much disinformation that they're putting out about her, and I think it's because she's so popular.
So much against it. She's so anti-establishment, it's ridiculous. So they put a lot of hate about her out.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Bernie Sanders is it's really hard to trust the information surrounding him, because that comes out with him on a daily basis, because the establishment is trying to kill him before he could win the nomination. So
we're gonna run into the same issue again if they put Biden up against Trump. Trump's gonna beat Biden.
Yeah, I think Biden's the worst choice of them all, but we'll see. But we'll get into
it against Trump again. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Biden scares me just because he does represent that true establishment. I think everybody else would be a better choice, in my opinion. And then, in all the Facebook groups I'm in, and all the groups I'm in for politics, and all the people I talk to about politics, if they're a moderate, he's their guy. So it really pretty much was the nail in the coffin for Beto, because he was the guy for the moderates before then. And Buttigieg had his moment, but I think it's pretty much now it's Bernie or Biden. I've been slipping towards Yang. I just don't think Yang has a fucking chance in hell.
All right, Yang doesn't.
So it's pretty much Biden or Bernie right now. We'll see how it goes. It's still early. But we'll welcome Messenger, and it's been a while since I talked to Messenger. What's up, man? Anybody that wants to come in can come in.
How you doing? I hear you're blowing everything up, man, while I'm gone.
Yeah, I can't help it. It's who I am.
No, I caught bits of it. We don't need to talk about it right now. It was all good.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it or not. Nothing. It is what it is. I am who I am. Fuck it. Let's move on.
No,
that's where I'm
at. I was
chatting
with Carlton in the chat on your earlier stream when you had Tosh on. And he asked if it was bad, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's anything unsalvageable. It's just, it was two little brothers got in a fight in the backyard, and they'll work it out.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I just
he triggered you, you triggered him. shit goes on.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what his deal was, but whatever. It is what it is. Fuck it.
No, like I said, once you guys talk in private, which I don't think it should be on a damn live stream. I think it should be like a private phone call.
Yeah. Oh, and I do regret like doing that live thing, talking about it. I don't regret it to the point that like it made me feel a lot better.
No, there's nothing wrong with what you did. It's very cathartic for you to get that stuff out of your brain. So
yeah. Thank you for that, because I felt a little bad about that.
No. What you did was perfectly cool. Like, because it's like writing in a journal. You know, some people can write it out in a journal. Somebody can look into a mirror. Somebody can talk to an empty chair. You want to do a live stream about it. It gets out your thoughts, your ideas. You don't feel unheard. And like I said, there's that cathartic effect of being able to express how you're feeling, what you were going through. And I thought it was done very well. I don't think you poured gasoline on the fire.
Thank you. Yeah, because it did. I felt a lot better after it. Like, because like I said, like during the stream, I think I went back and watched it once just because somebody on Twitter was talking about a timeout. But I think at some point I said something like, I forgot what I even said. But yeah, it felt good to get it out, and I feel better. I felt better all day, even despite like the first half hour of the thing with Tasha. I feel better. What I don't feel good about is what I told myself when I started, because usually, you know, I try to cap my drinking, right? So when I don't meet that, I get really disappointed in myself. Like, and it really shows me that this social drinking thing that I allowed myself to do again isn't so social, and I'm developing a problem. So I did that last night. I went through the pint, which is usually what my limit. I don't get too drunk off of a pint. And, you know, I'm not going to wake up the next day with a hangover. Mm-hmm. So I drank that during the Will Kincaid thing, waiting for Brett Keane to show up when he never did. so I went to the store instead of just starting to drink soda and other things. And that's what I'm disappointed in myself with, because I bought a half pint, and that half pint was enough to send me into inebriation instead of a clear-minded, loose state, which is what I usually drink for. I don't drink to get drunk. I don't run away from pain. I just try to dim it down a little bit, you know?
I feel you on that.
Like, do you think that like when you got through the first pint, was your like thought, or like, hey, my buzz is going to go away and I'm not going to be doing this. I don't want to be in this next 2 to 3 hour live stream, you know, drinking soda and water. I mean, like, was that what was going through your mind between the streams?
No, it was pretty much just nervous energy. Brett didn't show up, and GPH was like, Brett wasn't supposed to show up. You don't know the story, because actually TJ Kirk was possibly going to show up. This is Will Kincaid, man. I mean, this dude I don't think has his underwear on right, much less a fucking straight thought in his brain. So I got a text from Will, and he's a good guy. I'm not talking shit. He's enjoyable. He's fun, to say the least. But I got a text, and he said,
I like Will too.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun. And I got a text from Will, and he said that, hey, man, so Brett Keane's going to be on tonight, but we're going to keep you in separate rooms. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean separate rooms? Oh, right. So I'm just saying right again. But so I'm like, what do you mean separate rooms? Tell Brett to stop being a little pussy, and I'll be nice, and he can just come on. And Will text me back, okay. So I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to be in a room with the Manatee for the first time since we were actually cool. I mean, being cool to each other, because, I mean, there's a history with the Manatee. You know, I started talking shit I was on a Sir stream, and we were talking shit about, and I didn't know who the Manatee was. And the Manatee doesn't like people talking about the Manatee, so it led to him starting making videos about me. For some reason, of all the people in that stream, I didn't know who he was. He took issue with it or some shit. I'm not quite sure how he started making videos about me, but he started making videos about me, and I started making videos about him. And then, and he was inviting me into live streams and kept saying that I was being a coward. And I was like, dude, I don't even know what a live stream is or how to get into one, or I wasn't doing live streams back then. You know, he kept asking me to come into his live stream. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, who the fuck is Brett Keane? I think you could probably find my comment if you were diligent enough to go back and look for it. You could find my comment flipping out on Brett Keane. Like, dude, I don't know who the fuck you are. Why the fuck would I go and talk to you? Like, you could be like, oh, I went off on the guy. So I had no idea who he was. And I made some really disrespectful videos. I mean, that's what I did. I was really bad back then. A lot worse than I am now. Lisa, did you never get I sent 2 links, Lisa. Check your emails. But then we became cool, kind of like I went on his live stream and I proved that I could be nice. And then he came on my live stream and it was one of my best live streams. It was the live stream that G-Man came on. I mean, I had all these fucking people. It was so,
wow.
it was long and it was a great fucking live stream. Darth Dawkins was on, and it was the second time I kicked his ass out of a fucking hangout. You know,
you had all 3 of them on at the same time.
Oh man, I had so many people on that day, Messenger. I'd have to go back and look at all the people that came on during that fucking live stream. It was insane. It might be the first time that I had Dragon and Sokka and I mean it was a really good live stream, right? So and me and Brett was getting along. And then the next Friday came, and it was a Friday night, kind of like what's going on now, you know? And I went to the bar and hung out with my friends and got fucking drunk and walked into a political conversation with Brett Keane talking about putting children in cages, justifying it.
Yeah, I remember you did that video the next day because you were talking about raging. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that, not the stream you did with it, but the stream you did the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I went off. Yeah, I mean, and then Will Kincaid made a video about how I went off.
Yeah, and I remember that's right around that same week that I first found your channel and started like hearing about Brett Keane and hearing about all these different people I had never heard of. I'd never heard of G-Man up to that point. Hadn't heard of Darth Dawkins up to that point.
No, so you're like me. Like I was completely isolated. Like I never really heard of him either. Until I did Thursday's show. I don't even know how I found out about Sir. I think people in my comments started commenting about Cirrus. And I'm like, who the fuck is Cirrus? And they're like, dude, he's covering your Matt Powell movie. You got to watch this. And I went on Cirrus's stream. And since then, it's like I've been fucking just mind blown at everything that's out there that I wasn't watching. Non Sequitur. I mean, I would watch Cult of Dusty, Essence of Thought. Those were my atheists, and that's what I used YouTube for. The rest of the time I was making videos.
Right.
You know, so I had no idea.
If I would have known that you were having an issue with Brett Keane when you were having it, I would have said watch Scholar Fiction's things on Brett Keane. That dude's just such a dishonest prick.
Oh yeah, he's such a dick. So I was under the impression that he was going to be in the room. Now whether or not, and then once it didn't happen, Will said,
does somebody have Lisa blocked? She said that she's getting a message it says I'm not authorized. Is that when somebody's got her blocked?
How would anybody have her blocked?
I have no clue.
This one guy.
Ask Lisa if she blocked me.
Lisa, did you block Messenger?
Yeah, because if Lisa blocked me for whatever reason, because I know she got pissed off at me at one time, it's possible she has me blocked on her channel, and because I'm in here, she can't get in.
Yeah, so check that, Lisa, for truth.
Oh yeah, go unblock the Messenger reveals, and you'll be able to get in here and say hello.
That's funny.
I've never blocked anybody. I don't think.
I don't like blocking people.
I don't think I know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't block people because
you just click on them.
I get that offended by what they say.
Let me see. I know I could hide user on the channel. Yeah, I don't even know how to do it. I should learn how to block Matt Powell, but Matt Powell don't mess with me no more.
No, it works both ways, the Atheist Rationale. If you block somebody, you can't come into a stream that they're in. What the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't know none of that stuff. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think it definitely works the other way around.
Unblock me, Lisa, for truth, or unblock this one guy, or unblock Jeremy. How do you say your name?
Jeremy.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Yep, just felt weird.
It did. The G confused me.
I'm gonna send him.
You'd be amazed at how many people, when I was growing up, called me Germany, and I'm like, "There's not an N in my name."
I'm gonna send you a link, Immutable Destiny, and I don't know why it would say. Yeah, she says she don't block. So I wouldn't think that she would have blocked anybody. I don't know why you wouldn't have authority to come in. Let's try a different email. Let's see if I can try a different email.
Or if she has a
I haven't been in a hangout in years. The last one I was in Steve McRae.
I just went into one of his hangouts for the first time a few nights ago, and it was a blast. I really like Steve. Talked to him privately a few times.
Does this one guy have Lisa blocked?
Oh, my favorite
I
conversation
don't
with
think
Steve
so. I'm
McRae
checking
is
right now.
Gene saying dogs live millions of years.
Dogs live millions of years.
I'm gonna go check mine. I mean, I don't want to be the culprit.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. I'm trying to see because
This one
I
guy.
talked to Lisa, so I'm trying to see what if it is something on my end because I've talked to Lisa before in Hangout, so it might just be that. The only thing I've done today is add people to my contacts from
Yeah, you got to go into your
email to
creator
Gmail.
studio and.
I don't know if I have another email. I went through my emails to make so this wasn't so bad. I might not have another Lisa email, so maybe send me another email, Lisa. Should have been looking for immutable as I was doing this. There's another one from Lisa. All right, so we'll try that too. I'll just send you on a different email chain.
Yeah, the three accounts I have blocked were all the same troll from my channel. There's a guy named Tom Bladecki, and he had his other one, The Right Doctrine, and Alan Tomas.
See, I've never blocked anybody. I reported somebody for making a threatening comment on my daughter, but I've never blocked anybody.
Yeah,
I've reported several people for that now. It seems to have stopped. So I think maybe it might have just been one person that with some soccer accounts, right? Right, man. Why do I keep Messenger? You're the psychologist here. Why the fuck am I saying right all the time?
It's like one of them buzzwords, like people going, okay. Okay.
It's driving me nuts, man.
They're like, Matt Powell, listen here. Listen here, Knock. Listen here. It's like this. It's like this. Well, let me explain
Los
something.
Angeles. I told you I'd send you a link to. Yeah, that's funny. It's just driving me fucking crazy.
Hey, oh, she's in. Thank God, because I was about ready to have a stroke. I'm like, I can't find my freaking how to find
Lisa
block
for Truth
people.
is in.
That's weird that it was like the email chain, like sending it through a different email chain was the way.
Yeah, who knows not? You know, Messenger, just because I got pissed off at you doesn't mean I'm going to block you.
Oh, no, I was just trying to come up with a reasonable explanation why you couldn't get in.
That's how I am too. Like, I think I'd probably block somebody for like repeated racism, or like I should have blocked like Guzman and all them bigots by now. I should do that, but I probably never will. Where's Immutable at? They do entertain me.
Matt asked me to debate him.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious, Messenger.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
You want to debate on modern day debate? I'm like, I don't do debates.
I got so many fucking emails. It's insane. This is why I
love to debate Matt Powell. Oh, sorry.
So I'm sorry. I shouldn't over talk you. Like, this is why I forget people sometimes, and I forget conversations. It's like I have 179 emails to go through, and they're emails I don't want to get rid of because they're all people that I could talk to again.
Right.
I hate email hoarders. I always got to keep it nice and neat. My girlfriend has like 1 million emails, and it's like she's like, "Why doesn't it ever load?" I'm like, "Cause you have all that junk in there. Just
I need to make
delete it."
a email list thing, like a contact list. I don't know. I'm very technology stupid sometimes, but I found Immutable Destiny. So Immutable Destiny, this email chain better fucking work. There, I sent one. Now I can get back to the hangout. What's up, guys? What's up, Lisa? What happened to Jeremy? Oh, there he is. What's up, Jeremy? I do have some topics that we can talk about. Feel free to talk about anything that you would want to talk about. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Wilson. Mr. Powell is a twat trying to hide his lisp. The funny thing is, like in high school, I would have been like, no, don't say me that. Don't say that, Immutable.
Oh, GPH says that atheism is a religion, and I'm sorry, GPH, but it's not. There's no type of denominations. I know you said ACA is a denomination. That's not a denomination. That's an organization, you twat.
Yeah, GPH is a troll. He's kind of funny sometimes. He gets mad when I call him a troll. Chicago, Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the link. Man, I can't stay out of my emails today. What's up, Immutable Destiny? Been a while.
Hey, not much chilling. Saw Endgame today. Fucking great movie.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's been really hard not to spoil it for people that hasn't seen it. Like, how long do you go before you can start talking about the fucking movie? That's what I want.
The day you see it, that's me. That's all I've been wanting to do is talk about it.
That makes you a shit human. This one guy.
Yeah, I always try to find people who know about it so I can talk with them. I don't
you can do it in like private groups and stuff, but like, when can you start? Like, I have shared a couple memes that kind of might give away a couple things recently, but I still won't talk about it in public because I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna ruin Game of Thrones for people. You know?
Yeah, I'm not into Game of Thrones, but I heard like the 8th season kind of just like went to complete shit.
It looks like we're gonna get an ending that everybody's gonna hate. Everybody already hates it, but I mean, I'm not surprised. I love it personally as a writer.
I liked it.
George R.R. Martin is doing what I've always liked George R.R. Martin doing, and it's what I wanted to do when I was writing. When I was writing, these are the types of books I wrote, fantasy. I wanted to be really dark and just brutal, and I wanted my bad guys to win, and I wanted my good guys to become bad guys and fucking make my audience pissed, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what George R.R. Martin is fucking known for.
The first part of your statement, I'm considering that you liked reading Lord of the Flies when you were a kid.
Oh yeah, I loved that book. Oh, that was such a good book. Oh my gosh! If you haven't read Lord of the Flies, what is wrong with you?
What kind of movie is Endgame?
It's
Marvel Comics.
It's Marvel, but you can consider it American philosophy.
It's the Avengers.
Oh, I got you.
Like, there is some philosophy there, but it's like I don't know.
Macabre, do you want to come in here, Macabre? I can't pronounce your name for some reason. I'm retarded today. Come in here if you want to play devil's advocate. We got room.
Today.
I just may not play it very well. That's the warning I give people.
Oh,
So now what happened to you last night, buddy?
who, me?
Yeah, you were supposed to be on live.
Oh, I canceled it to go on other shows. I talked about it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I talked about a little.
I had a little therapy session with Tasha earlier.
Yeah. I did it. I was doing a favor. I was supposed to go live, and I canceled. And like, sometimes I don't do Friday nights because sometimes I go to the bar and get too drunk, and that's probably what I should have done last night.
You know what's bad is I'm trying to find a local bar to go to because I'm new to my area, and I'm having a hard time distinguishing what bar I want to go to. And I've been trying to find one to go to, like, after work, just to have like one small drinky pool and play a game of pool. And I have not been able to find like a bar yet, or even have the courage to go into one to go.
I go to the same spot every Friday. All my friends are there, people that I've known for a long time. Liz Rice, you see her in the chat there. She's there, and I drink draft beer, and it's an Irish pub, so I have Irish food. They have real Irish food. It's really good, and yeah, it's a good time, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if I do quit drinking, I'd still have to go to that spot, and that would be a trigger. Messenger, I know about these things. it would be a trigger, so it would be a very huge problem going forward. But it is the type of spot that you just don't give up, right? right. Fucking right.
I told you I don't have a problem with people drinking or smoking or doing whatever they do.
Yeah, well, for me, here's the thing. Like, here's the dilemma of the whole drinking thing, right? Oh, it's driving me crazy. My doctor's for the vein disease. It's one of the worst things I can do, and it's going to only progress it faster. Eventually, I'm going to lose my right leg. I'm looking at probably next 10 years at the longest. And if I continue drinking, it could be a year. It could be tomorrow. Something could happen. A vein could burst, or the drinking is very bad for it. And you do the thing that, like, I'll quit next week. or I'll stop doing it, or I'm not going to do it anymore, and then you do it. It's time to face it, and that's what it was about.
What's the thing that you get from drinking that you don't get from smoking? Is it just a different feeling?
I talked about that. Like the thing that the smoking is just something that I've always done. And there's different strains that I use for different things. But it's basically for glaucoma, I get these twitches. So I have to have it now. But what I've always gotten from it was it allows me to be creative. So if I'm smoking, my brain slows down enough from the thoughts that are spinning out of control and the chaos that is my mind.
Word.
And I can focus and be creative, and I can sit and write. I can do my videos and stuff. I can spend hours doing one thing instead of being the ADHD soul that I am, because my brain is just so chaotic and just crazy sometimes. So then there's the drinking is pretty much for emotion control. So if I get too emotional, I just don't enjoy it. And so the drinking just kind of dulls it down to allow me to be more myself and not taking it out, being an asshole to everybody around me. And I'm usually pretty jovial as long as I don't drink whiskey and I'm drinking rum. I'm pretty jovial. If I drink beer, I seem to have some kind of a beer allergy. So it affects me completely different than any other kind of alcohol does. So when I'm drinking beer, I never really know what I'm going to get, but usually I'm happy. Sometimes I get really, really, really intoxicated if I'm drinking beer. And
you know this
really quickly.
You know this Macabre Malefica?
Yeah, I just saw that. I can't stay out of my damn emails tonight. I knew it was going to be like
the stream after Lisa.
Oh.
It looks
So
like
can I talk to Messenger Reveals for just a sec?
Oh, go for it, man. Please tell me to just shut my mouth, because I've been talking all damn day now.
Hey, you can give me the control panel and I'll mute your ass.
Okay, Messenger. Yeah, I was pissed off at you, and I'm not going to apologize for that because that's just how I felt at the time.
I don't need apologies. I'm good. It's okay.
I'm not so petty that I'm going to block you just because he pissed me off.
Oh, sure. I was just trying to figure out how you could be not getting in. That's all. I was just trying to rectify that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh,
so I wasn't making an accusation. I was just saying, well, it's, with me, this one guy, and knocking here, who are you most likely to block? Probably me, if that was what was keeping you out.
No, I understand that. I just wanted to let you know.
No, that's cool.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's petty when people block, because they're obviously doing it for their emotional well-being. If I piss somebody off to the point where it's bothering them that much, they're going to block me. So that's just how they cope.
I think you're assuming too much of the best of people at times.
I assume the best of people?
Yeah.
I think you're being a little too optimistic there.
I think people do it as a power play sometimes. Like, oh, no, you can't talk to me. Especially, I see it a lot. And then you just go make an alternate app, like, what's up? Yeah. You can't block anyone on the internet. I'm like,
but at the same
time, or sometimes they do it just for the showmanship things, like, oh, I blocked his ass. Take that, loser.
Oh, I hate that.
That would still, suffice my point that they got some issues going on the inside.
I think some people try to do it for viewership. I mean, they try to appeal to the most people, I would think. And that's, I think most people, like he was saying, it's a power play. It's an authority thing. I'm sure that you can see it. You can tell when it is.
Yeah, it's showmanship.
Yeah, I get blocked half the time just for being Christian on the one forum I go on to. They see my name, like, oh, this is a guy. Blocked automatically. I'm like, you haven't even talked to me. Like, what the hell?
Oh, you
poor So Macabre, I'm assuming that you're the guy on Twitter that I've been talking to. So I sent a message to that dude, and hopefully you're him, because it's a Macabre. It's a Macabre. So I'm assuming you're the guy I've been talking to on Twitter. Hopefully. What's up, Chicago, Illinois? It's nice to finally meet you, man. What's up?
Thank you, Rage.
Welcome.
Does that say Chicago, Los Angeles? Is that the person?
That's me.
What's up, Chicago, Illinois?
How you doing?
You're really low, Macabre.
Does that say Chicago, Los Angeles? Is that the person?
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
I can't hear the Macabre person.
Really quiet, yeah.
His mic sucks.
Macabre, try F5.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, you're completely. Nobody can hear you.
He said Henting MG headphones. He's getting headphones. He'll be back.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Hey,
feel
Knock,
free
you
to
have
talk.
the
What up,
control
man?
room? You have the control room icon on your Hangouts. Over on the left-hand side, it looks like a little control box that's gray.
No, I don't, and I can't get any apps for it. I don't understand. It's pissed me off since
Which browser do you use? Do you use?
If he gives someone mods, probably we could install it in.
Yeah, I don't understand how to do none of that.
You guys see me now?
Yeah,
we
Yes, we hear you now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What's up, Macabre?
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to one of my topics yet.
Actually, I
So
go
go
for the
ahead and
more.
introduce one of your topics, Knock.
Is religion dangerous?
Yes.
Religion is dangerous because I'm in it now.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous because you're in it.
This one guy, I don't have a problem with moderate religious people or liberal religious people. I have a problem with the fundamentalists. They're the ones that are.
I would agree with Lisa's point for the most part, except I think there's some exceptions to that. I think kind of the psychological effects of religion are overall damaging in some way.
Yeah. I'm not a psychologist, but I honestly believe that the evolution of mental illness is directly related to religion over the years. And
I think we should be careful with.
That's a very, very.
I know.
Vague statement.
I know.
Could you elaborate?
That's interesting. I used to think that. I'll put that out there, Chicago, Illinois.
Let me put it this way. I know it's vague, but I'd be more interested in like writing and researching it better before I say this simply, that there are a lot of similarities, right? That hell, the damnation, and so then when you look at the anger and the spite. And so people who are mentally ill, they get these, seriously mentally ill. Sometimes, like schizophrenic, they get these voices and they get these, and a lot of it is very well related to religious,
Okay.
thinking.
So it's 300. It's 300 BC.
And so, hold on a second. Let me finish this point.
Hold on. I kind of want to make a point, perhaps a clarification with Chicago's point. I think you may have an argument there, like with Judeo-Christian type of religions there, Tommy, Chicago. But I think some religions are actually more productive towards the mentality of a person. Like,
I think maybe that tribal thinking, no matter what it was throughout history, that it's ingrained in humans.
I think that
in the same way.
I've looked into this.
There we
I've
are. I
actually
think
looked
that's the
into this,
actual
and
answer.
it depends. It really depends on.
Go ahead, Lisa. Did we lose you?
no, she muted herself, probably
Muted
accidentally.
myself by accident.
Okay. Well, I think Chicago put forth one hypothesis, but then when saying that it is something perennial or perhaps even innate in humans, you've then undermined your own argument. I would say that religion is
that's not undermining the argument. That's showing the same process, showing what we do know with science. But that's why we could assume that.
Because the delusions that manifest.
The last 5,000 years has caused this in generations after generations.
Yes, but it does depend on the religion.
Human evolution is working in ways we're still not aware of yet. So I wouldn't say that it's impossible at all.
Again, I'd say that's a very spurious claim.
Oh, God, I know it because you're probably philosophical and way too philosophical. So.
No.
Okay,
I hate philosophy. I would say that a mental illness is a constellation of very specific symptoms, many of which do involve a sense of persecution because, I guess paranoia is a way in which, unspecified anxiety can present itself. So if your brain is malfunctioning and you have all this unaccounted for anxiety, you're very likely to start thinking that it's because there's something wrong outside of you. And if there's enough anxiety, you're going to think everything outside your head has got something against you. That's paranoia.
Right, and that could be genetic, right? It could be from before you were born, right? And it could also be environmental, it could be one or the other, right?
Well, within the case of schizophrenia, with the case of schizophrenia, yes, there is a genetic component. However, it's also a lot of environmental factors, such as the consumption of alcohol or drugs that can precipitate an episode of schizophrenia.
Macabre, what's your education background?
I have a bachelor's and a postgraduate honors in psychology.
So you did yours both in psych?
Yes.
Did you do any clinical programs?
No, I did my honors in a neuroscience laboratory. I studied addiction. But after completing my honors thesis, I seriously just didn't have any interest in a PhD, and I didn't want to go clinical, so I saw no merit in going for a master's.
Okay, because I think some of your viewpoints on anxiety and schizophrenia are just a bit off. That's why I asked.
Well, I am going off information that's 10 years old, so I'd be particularly with the changes in the DSM, I'm very much aware that what I'm saying could be out of date.
Well, the only things that really changed in the DSM is the way that they present symptomology and refined and recategorized certain things. There wasn't a really significant amount of change. Like they took many different, like Asperger's, autism spectrum disorder, an autism disorder, and they merged them all into one disorder just because the symptomology of it was so broad that there really was no way to sit there. They would have had to put about 100 different diagnoses in. So they just categorized them underneath one spectrum disorder. Go ahead, Knock.
Not to interrupt, just real quick. I do want to put something in on this, but I'll wait till y'all are done. Khan, I got the tweet. Follow me or send me a private message on Twitter. I don't want to put the link publicly on Twitter. So send me a private message. I can't send you one because you have to follow me for me to be able to message you. So send me a message or follow me or send me a message and I'll message you back with the link. Go ahead. Sorry.
Can I just finish my point though? So even if my understanding of schizophrenia is out of date, my point was that the way in which one's paranoia manifests is going to be from the world around them, whether that be delusions of religion, or if they're a caveman and think it's the rock people after them because they're living in a cave around rocks. The fact is they've still got a mental illness. Just because they describe their mental illness with the cultural phenomenon around them does not mean that cultural phenomena caused their mental illness.
Not all of them. I mean, the majority of them, it is the environment. Like, I mean, if you're talking about things that have genetic predisposition, things like bipolar, schizophrenia, ADHD, yeah, certainly those are going to be there. But things like personality disorders, mood disorders, depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, those things are caused by being in environments where stressors are present and not having a healthy way to cope with them.
I want to hear Nakasuchi's take on it because he said he originally thought of this too.
Yeah, I used to think I used to be very anti-theist, and this is one of the things that I've been kind of talking about right now. Does my anti-theism was conflicting with my humanism? Now I still think I'm anti-theist, but I've changed a lot, and I think I've changed because I've actually started speaking to a lot of different people. So I've met people like Ocean, who is a theist. And I don't find his religion to be harmful. Or even anything that I would consider to be any kind of delusion. I think he's very practical with his religion. I think he has very good reasons for believing in Thor. A lot better reasons than Messenger and this one guy, but a lot better reasons than most Christians do, right? So I've just really come to believe that human beings, no matter their belief, have this inside thing, good and evil, mental illness can affect anybody. I don't think that I don't think that religion is. Now I have been very clear that I think heavily indoctrinating children I think is child abuse. So things like that. But I've just come to a point to where I no longer just look at religion as a whole and say bad. Right. I look at religion as a whole now and I see nuance. So that would be my answer.
I think the term you used, like with indoctrination, I think. Now, I'm not an expert in psychology. I took like one class in it as an undergrad, for my undergrad. But like things like a cultural conditioning and things like that are also signs of or premonitions of indoctrination. It seems.
Yeah.
And in a way, like that's something cultures do naturally. It seems like, in my view, it seems like that a religion is an emergent property of human evolution. That it's something that was developed for humans to progress.
Yeah, and I definitely think it was necessary for its time. And I often say that, like when as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you know more about this than I do, Immutable, but I studied it a little bit going into the Matt Powell things. But religion pretty much came in when I did send a link, Con, so I'll send another one. Just give me 1 second. Religion pretty much came in along the lines around the time when these really large societies were coming together, and the leaders of the society really needed these religious movements to pretty much create order for these really large societies that the world just never had before.
I think the pragmatic approach to religion is the wrong way to go about it. I also think that having a need to explain reality is also the wrong way. If you look, I'm Australian, so if you look at some of the spiritual beliefs of Central Australians, and again, if someone knows more than me, please point it out, because I'm literally going off 1901 Fraser's anthropological studies of Aboriginals. He found that tribes in Central Australia had this idea that babies weren't made through sex. Like, they literally had no binary correlation in their social discourse between having sex and getting pregnant. They literally believed that if a woman traveled to a certain part of their local geography, she might get pregnant. And depending on what part she was in, it'd be a boy or a girl. That's got nothing to do with explaining their reality, for the simple fact that it's obvious. Like, when you spend 2 seconds thinking about it, makes no fucking sense. It's much in the same way in Victorian times, when you cut yourself while you were working in the fields, you didn't wash your wound. You washed the blade and then kept on working. And they thought that would prevent infection. Like, it's the mind. I don't think the mind necessarily thinks logically or thinks in cause and effect naturally. And two, I think that we find explanations for reality that are counterintuitive to what we'd expect. Religion is, I think, it's a byproduct of having a social discourse. And I think that's the innate component.
I think I would disagree. I think I disagree only partially with your statement. I think that, like, from ancient and primitive religions, that it's mostly viewing it from the perspective of the effect. It's viewing it in terms of, here are certain effects that are observed, and how do we try to negate these effects? That's why you would wash the blade instead of wash the wound, kind of thing. The like ancient religions like Zoroastrianism, for instance, was one of the first religions to posit the notion, like, of two separate entities of good and evil, and celestial bodies that maintain those things, for instance. Which is,
well, according to my research, go ahead, Macabre.
No. I've actually got something less important to say. Go ahead, Horizons.
Okay. According to my research, there's actually a few different reasons for religion. One is called the hyperactive detection device, which is like, think about if you see a movement out of the corner of your eye and your head goes toward that movement. If it's the branch of a tree swaying in the wind, you're fine. But if it's a lion and you didn't detect that movement, then you've got a problem. because you're going to be dead. And so we got this hand device to help with survival. And then also you have, on top of that, it was a way to identify yourself to your tribe. So let's say, you know, the rituals are a way to say, I'm a part of this tribe. And that way your tribe's not going to kill you if you know, went on a journey a few days into the wilderness and came back. So that's according to my research.
Well, I think that, yes, the facilitation of social cohesion is a very important aspect of religion. However, I don't think it's incompatible with what I said. And I don't know who was agreeing with me earlier if it was Immutable. I think Immutable had a really good point, and I'm going to correct my position on that. However, my initial stance is that religious thoughts are not necessary to survival. I mean, your brain's a temporal machine. It's built in such a way that, you know, if I walk in this direction, in this time of the year, I'm going to find water. And if I throw a spear this hard at this angle, I'm going to hit that buffalo while it's running. The religious aspects, I think, are innate, but they're not necessarily pragmatic, and they're not necessarily there to explain the world. I think that's more an after effect as well. It's something that comes about as a byproduct of the fact that we share information conceptually. I mean, words are just concepts. We agree on the concept, we share it. And religion is an emergent property of that basic function of human civilization.
Well, and I think that point itself kind of helps well, for me at least, it shows that religion is kind of an attempt for ancient people to understand the world around them. Because the purpose of religion, at least for most religions, like if you're living in a valley somewhere and you have a very, well, not strict population, but a decently sized population, religions will be developed in order to help give cultural identity to the type of nation you're building and to try and understand and reinforce values within that area.
Very true.
And I mean, as the religion develops and as the society develops, the notion of how the world comes together or how the world is perceived by them is going to influence if they develop the notion of gods or deities or things like that, is going to manifest itself as part of the religion.
True, but again, so example with the whole rules and regulations stuff. And I'm sorry if you can hear me always breathing in. This mic is really sensitive. I don't know how to change it, but I hear myself sometimes on different streams, and it really shits me, so forgive me.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Cheers, dude. So empathy is a natural, it's innate in us for the simple fact that if you can't feel for those around you, your tribe is not going to survive. I think it's basically an instinct for us to, one, identify with a collective of people, and two, have an altruistic drive that desires to improve the situation for your specific collective of people. Religion, again, I think it's the byproduct, but it's not necessarily, we don't need to explain the world around us. It's just the fact that, okay, now we have this ability to share concepts. We're creating a mythology and an identity around the fact that we can now share our ideas.
I think, okay, aren't there examples though of like ancient tribes that operate on the kind of the exact opposite principle though, where by not showing empathy, by in essence kind of being harsh, by kind of enforcing power, you're trying to create an environment where only the best of somebody who is able to perform some task or some duty for that type of community will survive, or will be more likely to, continue their business or to gain more prestige within the community at large.
I guess that's the 2 points on that. Then one, look at the Spartans, the way that they would, I guess, postnatally abort children that weren't that had any sort of defects. Yeah, it's really fucking harsh, and it's hard for us to imagine now. But at the same time, I think that if you're a Spartan guy and you've got a Spartan friend, you're gonna love him the same way you'd love your friends now. And if you're in battle, I mean, I think that's why they encouraged homosexuality. The idea that if you love the man that you're fighting next to, you're going to fight even harder. I mean, there's still the element there that for my in-group, I have all the empathy in the world and I demand the best of them. I mean, if anything, you could say there it's a bastardization of loving those around you, but I think the altruistic drive to make things better around you, and I was going to get into the whole why I think atheism can potentially at times be a religion, is because that drive is not necessarily always going to lead to a good outcome.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that point. I think the like your point about love, I would kind of question: is it the point that, or is it the case that the love that's being promoted is the love for the society? Or is it the love between your fellow man? Because I would say, like, the encouraging of homosexual acts would be ultimately in the service of the country.
Whoa. Oh, comment.
Yeah, Khan, we hear you, but it's very distorted, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Sort of.
I think you might have the stream playing.
Hold on a second. Okay, so I turned it up already. So.
All right, yeah, that's better. Good, we can hear you now. What's up, Khan? This is a fascinating discussion. It's gotten really deep. I'm sitting here just thinking. I'm listening to both of you guys go, and don't even really know what to think. I'm processing it. This is awesome. Continue.
Cool. So yeah, that gave me a few seconds to think about love of your fellow man versus love of country. What I was saying that I think we have an innate drive to A, identify with our collective, and B, an altruistic drive to better everything around us. I think that's actually a selfish. It's at its core a selfish drive, and it's not driven by a love for your fellow man, but rather I think it's a biological imperative to improve the situation of the group. Now, whether that's it's the ice. Okay, 30,000 years ago, before the last ice age had ended, whether that was braving the cold to go and kill something so you could eat and everyone else could eat, or whether it's some of the more recent drama in the atheist community. So I'm condemning rationality rules because I want to stand up for trans people. I think they're both altruistic, but they both have very different outcomes.
Mm. Who was that?
Khan Min.
Yeah.
I'm typing.
Sorry, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So being this altruistic drive can lead to both good and bad outcomes, but actual intent is the same.
Yeah, I could concede that point. And I think certainly, like within various like ancient cultures and ancient religions, there's kind of been an experimental phase where cultures kind of have taken different approaches as to how they want to breed members for their society, or what they would like to focus on, and building defining characteristics for themselves.
Well, I think you can actually just immediately extrapolate it to today, and with my favorite example. I love talking to Khan Min in the comment section, but can we mute him until he gets his shit sorted?
Yeah, well, Khan, I'm gonna mute you, and yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but you're getting a lot of echo and feedback, and it is really interrupting the conversation. So figure that out, and then I think you would have to unmute yourself.
Cool. So I didn't want to be a dick because Khan and I have had a lot of good combos in the comment section of many videos. What was I saying? Okay, so have you ever heard of Coriolanus? Anyone?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't. I have to look it up.
300 BC, Rome was still a city-state. Coriolanus was one of their finest generals. In fact, his name, Coriolanus, is the conqueror of Coral, or Coroli. I forget the name of the city. This dude lost, I think, the stories, there's often different stories, but from what I remember, this guy, he lost his army and stormed the gates of Coroli on his fucking own and took out the last of their army himself. Marched his ass back to Rome, and he was a hero, and he was one of their greatest generals. But one day, there was a bit of a grain shortage, and Coriolanus said, look, I don't think we should meter it out evenly to all plebeians. I think we should meter out the last of our grain reserves based on who's put the most into Roman society. Now, this was back when Rome was still this was when Rome was a very early democracy, and the notion of a king or an emperor was fucking taboo.
Actually, hold on a sec. I don't want to interrupt you, but I looked it up, and it appears to be a tragedy written by Shakespeare.
No, it's actually based off a real story. That's where he got the story from. So I'm not telling you the Shakespeare story. The Shakespeare story is a very contrived tale of politicians. I'm just telling you from what we know, this is actually what happened. In the Shakespearean story, Coriolanus disrespected the people by not wanting to show his battle scars, so they turned on him. In reality, he just didn't want the plebeians to get grain without having to put in work. So anyway, this is what earned him the ire of the plebeians, and for some reason, I forget why, but he was pushed to go into politics, and when his political enemies saw an opportunity, they basically spread out a smear campaign saying that he was a cunt and he was working against the interests of Rome. So the plebeians literally revolted against their finest war hero and kicked him the fuck out based on nothing but rumor and hearsay. Like, they're all thinking we have to protect Rome and protect our best interests. So they turned against a man who literally put his life on the line to protect Rome in its very early stage. Like, that's basically what happens every day. You go turn on the news and someone's got a smear campaign on someone else and people believe it blindly. Why? Because we're told if you believe this, you're working in the interests of those around you.
That's interesting. I do have to warn you guys, and I'm sorry, Will Kincaid's going to come in, so continue, but you might want to start drinking.
Oh, dude, it's 1 PM and I have no booze.
You're going to need it.
But that was... Sorry, I know I'm being long-winded, but I think I'll wrap this one up really quickly. Then the next one was Tiberius Gracchus. Very similar story. His father was a famous senator loved by the plebeians. Tiberius Gracchus started his political career, like most Romans did, by joining the legions. He was the first man over the wall in Carthage. When Rome sacked Carthage, he was literally the first dude to throw a ladder against the wall and climb his ass over and fight the Carthaginians. Then a few years later, when he was a senator, he noticed that a lot of the high caste in Roman society were exploiting laws that enabled them to steal land off the peasantry. So they were literally collecting land and using it for themselves without purchasing it. So Tiberius Gracchus said, this is bullshit. We need to amend Roman law to prevent these pricks from stealing land that doesn't belong to them. What did his political opponents do? They did a huge smear campaign telling all the plebeians Tiberius Gracchus wants to be the emperor of Rome. He doesn't respect democracy. So what did the plebeians do? They ransacked his house, beat the fuck out of his family, and eventually Tiberius was assassinated. Why? Because you tell the plebeians, believe this for the better interests of Rome, and you'll be a good person.
Yeah,
I was familiar with that story. I had heard that one before.
Yeah, so long story short, societies are fucked. I agree.
No, but I think that's actually the same mechanism of altruism and identifying with the group played out in both of those instances. We're Romans, we want to protect Roman interest, therefore our altruistic drive causes us to do terrible shit, apparently to make Rome better.
I think the degree of barbarism has kind of stepped down a little bit. We understand that, in a way, just, cutting people's heads off isn't really going to solve the issue. The better way to, and the traditional means of skepticism is to attack the ideology and the actual arguments made by whatever type of enemies you have, instead of just saying, fuck you, we're going to kill you.
Yeah, but at the same time, the whole idea of I am fucking you over to make the world around me a better place is still present. I think it's the mechanism, or the what I want to say, the paradigm, not the actual actions involved. It's the paradigm where you can plug in the location, the causation, the outcome, and it's effectively still the same thing.
Good morning, Bikini Bottom.
Hey, what's up, Will?
So who's cornholing whose anus now? I heard you talking about Emperor Tiber Septim or something, so I decided I'd come in.
I tried to warn them.
I know the mad god Pelagius is a real bitch, but thank God he's in the Shivering Isles now. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing really good.
Doing good. How are you, Will?
We were Macabre and Immutable. We're having a really deep conversation. I almost did not send you the link.
I would almost.
Well, you
didn't. Sorry. Well,
you didn't. Well, you didn't listen to your better judgment then, and that's your fault.
I promote an open room. You're borderline. Right?
Yeah, I'm not like a troll. I'm just really autistic. That's all. And I just well, usually what I'll do is when somebody invites me into a room, I'll be like, all right, so where do you want me to set the autism level? Because I can restrain my power level. But you got to give me a bar or something.
Like as close to zero as possible.
Who are you?
I was until Will came in, like the tornado of one of my former binges. He is. I was gonna say to the opposite extreme, or maybe because of what Macabre is saying here, talking about group mentality and the discussion of barbarism and how it has gotten better. Yet there has been actual societies and religions where they were kind of balanced and worked together and were very accepting of other people's. A lot of Native American spiritualities I've been researching, trying to do due diligence before I start a new series, was really balanced and was opening and accepting and I mean, there was competitions and there were wars. I spoke about that earlier in the stream, but it was very different than say a society like Rome or some great societies like Persia. But then they were easily manipulated and slaughtered and easily conquered once the barbarians came. So I guess barbarism won out in that situation. But I don't know. I was thinking about that as you were going through your examples of some of those societies.
Well, I think the real kind of interesting point is, where's the fine balance? Like, where's the tipping point between barbarism and intellectualism?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what we're looking for too, right? I keep saying right. It drives me nuts.
Give me 5 minutes and I'll have an answer. Let me get really fucking high here quick. Give me a minute. I mean, I'm totally legal tobacco. Give me a second.
So just so you guys know, this is a traitor atheist. He went from being an atheist to a Jew again, and
that dude is not a Jew.
Help us all, man. Help us all.
That dude is not a Jew.
I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to grab another cup of coffee from the kitchen.
All right.
All right. I heard somebody talking shit. I'm about to solve all of your problems and the mysteries of the universe, and you're fucking on me. That's really rude, messenger.
I mean, I think you can probably guess.
Will Kincaid. Will Kincaid. We're friends.
Okay. I just heard something not a real Jew. I'm sorry.
Tell me that dude is a Jew.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna lawyer up. I'm gonna call Harvey Weinstein, and we're gonna fucking.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna.
He's not a lawyer.
No, but you can bet your sweet ass he's got a good one, and I bet you he's Jewier than the Jewiest Jew you've ever seen. So
he might rape you like a lawyer would.
He might, but if that's the trade-off, I might be all right with that. It might be funny.
Sorry, excuse me.
Will, oh gosh, what did I
love you, Will.
Okay, so what problem are we having here? There's a balance that we need to strike between barbarism and intellectualism, or you're looking for the tipping point?
Tipping point.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Balance, tipping point, just the tip.
Oh, just the tip. Here's a tip. Don't open your fucking mouth.
Oh my god!
Get out of the fucking room.
Oh.
Yeah, well, your mom gay, so how about that?
Will,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, you would know about that, wouldn't you?
I would.
We're not allowed to talk about people's moms, Will. Come
I don't even know
Don't
if
make me boot your ass out of here already.
I know.
It's okay that you don't have one. That's what makes you special.
Oh, he's harassing me now. I see. And Andy's being anti-Semitic. I see how it is. It's all right to be an anti-Semite, but I make one your mom joke and I'm the asshole. Okay.
When did I say it's all right to be an anti-Semite? See, you're calling me an anti-Semite because I'm against the Israeli right-wing government.
No. We discussed that yesterday on the stream, and it's really not as bad as I thought it was. Yep.
Yeah, I support the Jewish people. I just don't support that.
Hey, Knock.
Atrocious government. What's up?
Hey, will you send Snuffy Wuffy Kiss a link so she can come in here?
What?
Yeah, does she want to come in?
I'm getting tired of typing, and I want to have a dialogue, like voice to voice.
But will that actually happen? I mean, is there such a thing as a dialogue with the messenger? I'm very curious about that.
What do you mean by that?
Here we go.
I'm just
Is that a
curious.
Mutable Destiny saying that shit?
He's open.
So can we
an
talk
aspirin.
about the fucking Alabama and abortion bill?
No, they did abortion last night. We're
Oh,
not doing that
hey,
shit.
Yeah.
Everybody
We're
wants to
saying
talk
that's an
about
abortion already, but that's okay.
I know. Me and Knock were supposed to have a conversation about this if it ever got to it. Guess what? Fucking dreams do come true. Let me just take 2 of these aspirin.
Here's
and
the
we'll be all
reality.
set.
Here's the reality of
Is your
abortion.
dream-
Hold
So
on, I'm gonna tell
is
you
your
guys.
dream
This is
to hang out
profound.
arsonists?
Every
Can you
one of
shut
you, every one of
you
you
shut up?
listening to this message are here because abortion didn't happen.
Can
Right.
we say that everybody here shouldn't have been aborted now?
I definitely.
Am I wrong? Am I motherfucking wrong?
Oh my god, you're gonna get me.
Right.
Messenger, you're beautiful.
You're gonna prove that I don't just rage when I'm drunk tonight.
Well, then again, Messenger reveals some people are attempted aborted fetuses and they just got lucky, so to speak. So there are some fetuses that do
There's at least
survive.
one in this room. I'll let you guess who it is.
But
So,
I have
were you like
I have a
laughing at
mini
that?
video on my channel about it, and it's gonna go all to fucking hell because there's gonna be so many women to lose their lives because they're going to go to these back alley quote unquote doctors to get abortions and
Good night. Horizon.
They
I just want
don't-
to say something quick. Your icon there is that the desktop default image for like Windows 10? Because I'm pretty sure I have the same fucking. Did you
No,
just
it
put
isn't.
Horizons? I mean, I know that you're really
Windows
concerned
10.
that women are
it
gonna
It looks
die
like a
or
mountain
whatever.
to me, dude. It looks like a mountain.
Yeah, I know, but it looks like it's high definition though. So I mean, there's not many high definition images you can get out there without purchasing them. So
It's not
No,
that
I
guessing.
just googled icons for.
You have such a way of being an annoying fuck. You know that.
I can hook you up with a good artist. You got
$20.
$20. I can hook you up with a good graphic artist and get you a real
I
logo.
don't wanna
I
know.
thought it was gonna go worse than that. I really did.
I really don't want to know
Dude,
how
I'm
you
totally broke.
All right, I'll pay for it. How's that sound?
I was thinking I'll give you
Wait,
20
you
bucks
don't
for
want
something
it?
a lot worse.
Yeah, I'll pay for it. I don't give a shit. I've been handing out money all afternoon.
Oh.
I've gotten to the point where I'm making so much money at the factory now that I'm literally just passing it out. I paid 50% tip on my fucking bill at the restaurant today. I fucking spent like $200 on my fiance. I was like, I'll buy myself something. I was like, I don't actually fucking need anything. So I just, you know, whatever. But yeah, if you want me to buy you some fucking art, I'll hook you up. Big Red Wolf. He's the name of the artist. You can look up. He's got profiles on, I think, DeviantArt.
Such a good conversation.
Oh boy!
Yeah,
Wait, you don't like my avatar?
No, I hate it. I'll pay for a new one if it means I never have to look at it again.
All right, so you, Will Kincaid, you have not really answered this yet, and
okay,
you kind of weasel out of it every time I bring this up. Why the fuck you a Jew now, man?
Oh, why am I a Jew? Because I wanted Saturdays off. I can say that on this channel.
Well, it gives them a reason to be an ass.
How I'm an ass from being an atheist. All right, so you as an atheist. When I first started interacting with you, it was me going on Brett King's channel, and you started like trolling me a little bit, and like, "Hey, I'm an atheist. You're gonna have to deal with tonight."
Yeah, I mean, nobody from work is gonna watch this, so I'll just. Okay, first of all, I like John, and so I started talking to John because I met him through Brett. And John's cool shit. You met him last night. You can vouch for him if anybody else has a problem with him, right?
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I had a series of DNA tests run a long time ago now, and I have, you know, the ethnic heritage on my mother's side. So that John notified me that gets me a free pass into Judaism. One night I was on one of his streams. I think it was like Orphans of Avraham or something like that, and that's his Torah study on Thursday nights. And I was like, "Oh, you mean I can get Saturdays off?" And he's like, "Yeah, just pull the Yid card." And I was like, "I think I'm going to do that." So that's the reason. That's the reason I work 6 days a week and not 7.
You're a fucking nightmare. You know that, like there's Matt Powell, right? And I can fucking sit here and talk to Matt Powell and be like sick in my stomach, and yet it's a conversation. And then there's Will Kincaid, and I might as well be talking to my own asshole.
You might no because your asshole might actually
goes on.
Well, let me just say this: your asshole might say something more intelligent and eloquent. Go ahead.
It's probably
so if I only work 5 days a week,
go ahead, Immutable. I'm sorry, man.
So I have a better question. If I work only 5 days a week, does that make me a super Jew?
It just might. You'll have to check with your local rabbi. I suggest probably bringing paperwork like I did. I mean, like yeah. I've actually been going to temple and everything, because I really fucking hate working Saturdays. So.
Nobody likes doing
so
it.
You're pretending to be religious.
You as an agnostic or atheist, even though you attend Jewish temple.
I'm manipulating the system and I'm gaming it.
So you're not Jew by faith. You're
so I
Jew
told you I was right.
Yeah, I know. That's why
right.
Messenger is like
incentive.
What's that?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I work, like I keep saying this, but 12 hours a day, 5 a.m. plus an hour to an hour and a half drive, depending on where I'm sleeping that particular night. Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, can't you just claim like to be a Christian and get Sundays off?
No, they don't have as good of benefits.
No, because
Judaism, the new benefit at work.
No, because this is the interesting thing, and if you were in more of my hangouts, you'd know this. Most of my coworkers are atheists, including the foreman. So they weren't going to let that fly. Anyone who's a Christian doesn't get Sundays off either because it's only an hour. But then I picked Judaism because 1, I had an in, 2, I knew somebody who would vouch for me, and 3, I knew that there are rules that say that you can't work that specifically say you can't work. Whereas Christianity doesn't have those rules. And I wanted to pick something more mainstream. So those are.
See, this reminds me of Orange is the New Black, where Black Cindy tried to become a Jew so she could eat kosher meals.
I've seen that. I've seen that show.
I can't tell if you're trolling or if this is real.
Dude, I'm whatever you want me to be. I'm intoxicated right now. I've been drinking all day, so anything I say can't be used against me anyway. And I do actually have an attorney. So go for it.
I'm just curious, of all the laws in the Torah, all 613 of them, how many do you actually keep?
Are you? There's more than 13 fucking.
No,
rules.
I said 613. Learn to count, please.
I didn't hear you say 600.
I only heard 13 as well.
I think that we proved. I think that we proved last night on my stream with Knock that my internet is horseshit where I'm at right now. Base Camp Alpha Site B. It's Site B because I put the poster board behind my head, so that makes it a different location.
I just think you break the internet. I think that's what it is.
So of these 613 laws that are in the Torah, how many are actually kept?
Right now I'm up to about 40, give or take. I'm adding more as I actually learn the language. What?
You're
I'm
not
gonna
real,
fucking
right?
lie? What am I not real? I don't
You're-
know.
you're
You're
not
having an
real, right?
existential crisis?
You're a
Am
poet.
I not nothing is
Will's
real?
a fictionary character of my imagination.
This is an act. I mean, you're a comedian. So for people that don't know, Will is a comedian. And this is like your shtick, right? Your comedy act.
I can't. Again, I really don't want to have to call my lawyer at fucking 11:30 at night. But
I can neither nor affirm nor deny those allegations. It's okay.
you can take it or leave it at this point. You've got my phone number. Call me when I'm sober. All right.
I don't think it would make a difference.
Not you. Who's fucking talking to you? I was talking to Knock. Knock's
Don't
my good
worry
buddy.
about
It's an open conversation, Will.
It's
You should learn what an
conversation.
open conversation means.
I know. See, this is why I started my own stream thing, because I was like, I had this idea, this grand vision where anyone could just do whatever and nobody would have to worry about words. So, like John literally said the N-word in Yiddish twice last night and nobody flinched. That's a beautiful thing, man.
So while I was on the stream, he was doing derogatory racist remarks, and I just couldn't understand them. So
No, I pointed it out. You missed it because you were focused on having to get to the fucking liquor store.
yeah, that sounds like me. But well,
You had great debate. I even called him out too. I was like, "Did you seriously just fucking say that?" And he's like, "I was like, you can fucking say it, but
no,
no."
I can't agree. He's like a cool guy anymore.
Hey, Knock, did you send Marty the link?
Yeah, I sent Marty the link, and then I put. I'll see if.
Try to send it again, just in case.
Hey, I just learned a new word. Schwarzer.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot, asshole. I wasn't gonna fucking say it.
Schwarzer, Schwarzer, Schwarzer.
That's a racist word in Yiddish.
That's the N word.
Schwarzer. Schwarzer. I can't. Fuck. You can't do the nigger song with Schwarzer in it. It's just the extra syllable throws it all off.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand.
Oh, it's a satirical song. The lyrics are literally nigga, 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 nigga. I'm 100% nigga.
It's called gangster rap. That's the name of the song.
I'm
I think you just summarized a very large portion
never
of
heard
that music.
So man, so your co-host is a dick then.
Maybe a little. I could explain it, but I'm probably not sober enough to represent the whole
So
thing.
if I go on your stream, I'm gonna have to call him out for being racist.
You can do whatever you want on my stream. That's the beauty of my stream. I don't give a shit. If you got beef, fucking beef, or if you just want to sit and get really fucked up and talk about The Simpsons or whatever, that's cool too. There's no real
anybody else's beef on cam. Sorry.
Whatever. The nature of my stream is that it's sort of the nature of myself, which is sort of an amorphous blob of I don't know what.
Agreed.
I'm constantly in the process of reinventing myself, and I don't just do that online. I just kind of keep being this person everywhere.
So which model are we at now?
I think we're in our 16th season. I think. Hold on. Let me. Well, the 16th iteration of myself.
I'm sorry,
almost perfect cell.
Like I feel like we went from this like really earth-shattering, like slightly too smart for me to understand conversation to you.
One of these things is not like the others. Let's play the game, shall we?
Yeah, I know, but well, I mean, you can kick me, I guess.
What the hell did I do? What do you do to me, man? I don't know. I don't even know why the fuck I like you.
I don't know why you do either. I'm still curious.
Think about it this way, Nock.
I love Will. I'm not gonna lie.
Even in Shakespeare's Macbeth, halfway through the whole tragic story, there's a there's a syllogy with a guy making a bunch of dick jokes, and you always got to have comic relief.
And they'd always trot out a dog and like a
You're my guy making dick jokes, Will. That's what you are.
No. My form of humor is a little more
relief.
intelligent. Fair enough.
I think I haven't laughed like this much all day, but I mean, I was like doing my cleaning thing, and I took my daughter to the park, but she was having fun. I wasn't laughing.
Believe it or not, I used to be a normal person. When I hit peak normie that I was most suicidal. So
really?
Several failed suicide attempts have given me a glimpse into what it means to be a real human being, and I just decided to stop being like that. I mean, like very straight edge. Like it was my senior year of high school. I went from being like, I don't know what you'd call it, a slacker, I guess, kind of a loser. And then I hit my peak loser when I started to actually get my shit together. And then I decided, well, no, fuck all of that. I'm just gonna be whatever I want to be, and you're like 21, right? No, I'm 26.
You look like you're 17.
Yeah, I know.
You're just a baby.
Well, no, I didn't have a beard at the time either. Part of the beard was part of what I wanted, so I just fucking grew a beard.
Well, I can't say it helps you.
You can suck that much at suicide.
Here's the conundrum of Will, is because like you want to believe him and feel compassion for him, but then you don't know if you can.
I will give you full access to the unlisted channel that I was talking about, and you can see the evolution one step at a time of me. It documents fucking everything. It's just, I didn't delete. I told you last night I was supposed to delete it. I didn't. It's all unlisted, so you can see everything that's there. It proves pretty much everything I've said, and or at least it'll make it easier for you to tell what's bullshit and what's not.
No, I mean, I kind of enjoy the mystery. Sometimes, like you'll come. I don't think I've ever yet to really see you partake in a serious conversation. That hasn't happened yet, but sometimes it is deeper than others. I'll give
Hey, Knock, did you get Snuffy Wuffy Kiss the link?
Yeah, she's in now, and Marty's in now. Everybody, feel free to talk. Don't let Will's loud.
Go for it.
Now the usual question will be answered, and that is, can Messenger have a conversation?
All right, Messenger.
Playing Mirror Solid.
Yeah.
Is he talking about conversation or dialogue?
Well, it depends, because if we're talking to you, it might as well be talking to a mirror.
What does that mean?
Well,
I think it means he likes you a lot, and he likes looking at you. I think that's what it means.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because he says you're like a mirror.
I think it means shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah, let's start with Immutable Destiny, dude. Let's talk.
Come on. You're gonna end up psychoanalyzing yourself.
I don't have a problem with you.
Huh?
I can't come on because I don't have a problem with you. So what is going on?
What's going on?
Well, okay, answering questions with questions is not going to get us anywhere. What issue do you have with me?
What a great conversation. All right, go ahead.
No, you seem to
kind of pussy now right now after calling me out.
You just seem to halt conversations where they are instead of pushing them forward.
Well, I gotta spark something. He's not speaking.
No, I mean you seem to just halt conversations where they are instead of actually pushing them forward.
In regard to what?
What
do you have questions about?
I'm just curious as to why you can't push conversations forward.
What do you think that I do that demonstrates that I don't push conversations forward?
You attempt to get terms redefined.
You mean I try to come to terms to where we actually are speaking the same language so we can move forward without sitting there talking over each other like Sam Harris did with Jordan Peterson on Truth?
No, because when we have a conversation, we basically agree upon the terms by which we're using terms to confer an idea.
So when the agnostic or atheist community has terms that mean specific things and they don't mean the same things to myself or other believers, and we try to come to a common base so we can have a conversation, you're saying I'm not pushing the conversation forward because I'm just trying to get to where you want to be. And that's exactly what Sam Harris did with Jordan Peterson, that Jordan Peterson had an inability to do with the term truth.
No, the time and place to do that is at the start of the conversation, so that there isn't an ambiguity when you actually reach one of the halting points.
I agree, but you realize that the fluidity of organic conversations, new terms come up that ones don't actually partake in that are the same. So that at that point, you have to clarify that.
Sure, but part of the fluidity of having an organic conversation is first having an agreement upon what terms actually mean.
I agree.
Instead of having a conversation and then halfway in the middle of it,
you have to sometimes
redefine so that you have to read.
No, it's not redefining; it's defining.
Okay. How is it not redefining?
Because we haven't defined them to begin with. So if I don't get what you mean, I'm going to ask for clarification, and it's not to stall it, it's not to filibuster it. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. I truly try to empathize with people and understand where they're coming from. So if you don't feel like I further the conversation, I would like to hear an instance in what you're referring to.
I mean,
not just generalizations or assertions.
I'm pretty sure the audience can give you plenty of them.
So you're going to defer to other people for your argument.
No, I'm going to defer to other people because I have personal examples that I think other people can validate.
Help them out and let them defend themselves.
Okay, Immutable, I think what he's saying is because the terms mean different things to different people, you have to first decide what those terms mean and come to an agreement as to what those terms mean before you can actually move on with the conversation. Here's what he's saying.
Here's the issue I have, right? If you want to be genuine when having a conversation, define what terms mean. Because when a person has a conversation and we reach a halting area where you feel the need to redefine a term, it makes both observers seem as if though that this isn't a point that was meant to be reached, and that now we need to start over, so that the actual problem can either be one, avoided, or two, circumvented in some way by having the term redefined.
Huh?
He's basically saying that everybody's agreed upon the terms. Then all of a sudden I come into the middle of the conversation and ask to redefine them because I have a different viewpoint, and therefore I'm trying to derail the conversation rather than have it. That's what he's making the such assertion.
Very simple.
The problem is that everyone didn't agree upon terms to begin with, and that's the point.
Exactly. I'm a little confused. Like, does this stem from the chat or from...
No, I think this stems from way long ago.
All right, so that's what
let's say the conversation's about pizza, right? And then you're all talking about pizza, and then everybody agrees, hey, we all like, some people like this kind of pizza, some people like this kind of pizza, but everybody agrees on they like extra cheese on the pizza. Then somebody else brings up tacos. That stops the conversation on pizza, and then nobody knows where to go from there. And it's someone's fault for, like, that's not right because you brought up tacos and we're talking about pizza. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, let's say they're from Mexico and they've never heard of a pizza.
Okay, but in that case though, if a person has never heard of a pizza and you're talking about what kind of things are good for a pizza, I wouldn't make that point in the very beginning.
But who cares? Then the person who's never heard it can be like, hey, I don't know what pizza is. What's that?
Right, but why do you participate in the conversation without first knowing
because maybe
for which to have the conversation?
Because maybe you find the concept of pizza. Maybe you heard about pizza, but you don't know a whole lot about pizza, and you find that interesting, so you want to listen in.
Well, here's the thing. My expertise is in psychology and clinical counseling. Period.
Oh, Jesus, hell. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say, like, my expertise is in psychology and clinical counseling. So when people bring up things related to those topics, regardless of what they're talking about, and I'm in and have availability to speak about those things and say, you're not saying the terms right. You're using general use of them. You're using stereotypical, like people will sit there and say, oh, I'm OCD. And there's really no diagnosis for their OCD, but they think of what would be obsessive and compulsive in the nature of how they act and behave. So therefore they say, well, I'm very OCD when it comes to this. So when I sit there and say, well, no, you're not really OCD, and OCD means this, and you go, well, that's just not the general terms we all subscribe to. And I'm going to be like, well, let's stop talking ignorantly and let's speak specifically so we can all communicate better. And you have an issue with that.
Saying that shit too. Like,
no,
I'm OCD about staying in my house.
I know what he's saying now. I know what he's saying now. He's a counselor. Okay, I am not a counselor, but I have gone through
Well-
counselor ed, and what he's saying is what your terms are what you define your terms as. And we need to know how you define what you're talking about.
Okay, I fundamentally disagree, because the way I see it is the way a term gets used is parameterized by how a conversation proceeds. If we're using terms in a particular way in a particular context, we both agree on certain qualities of the thing to have a conversation.
Can I interject briefly?
Wait till he's finished.
Let him finish, Will.
Yeah, hold your thought, Will, though. Don't forget it.
If we're having a conversation about ethics and morals or something like that, we have to agree, at least to some extent, that these are things that might exist, or to some extent that there's some way we can assess the value of something that is of an ethical claim. Those are fundamental prerequisites. I mean, you can't jump in the bandwagon without making metaphysical assumptions about those.
Huh?
Okay, can I? So does everybody know who Bill Clinton is? I assume. Does anybody remember what his investigation, where during the trial somebody asked him a question? What's the definition of the word is? That's where we're at right now. You know where that leads? Fucking nowhere.
Yeah, who gives a
No, wait. So here's your solution. Just lay your terms out immediately before you open your mouth about a thing. If you don't know what the word means, then don't come into the conversation. Go ahead, open up Google Chrome, go to Google, type in the word, and then start there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take
defining terms mid conversation. I'm done.
I'm gonna kind of take Immutable's side in my own way, because I do, like I said, I do this shit all the time. Like, I'm OCD about cleaning my house. I understand that I'm not OCD and probably the clinical a way that Messenger might understand the term, and like Messenger in that instance, and I haven't seen this kind. I'm sure, like I do understand that Messenger does a lot of chatting and chat, so I didn't see this what's being said, but I would say that I would probably be like on the side of Immutable, like when it comes to being the OCD thing. Like, I would be like, I don't care about your clinical definition. I'm using it the way I'm using it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't correct somebody if they were saying it. I'm just making a point.
Let me
yeah, and I don't know the context or not, but
okay.
I'm just saying
I think that hey, Knock, in all the conversations we've had, or even people who have been, somewhat reasonable, I don't think it's ever flowed poorly. I don't think that we've had issues communicating. I think that when certain people make accusations and I ask them to clarify their positions to better understand it, then people sit there and have issue that I'm asking for clarification because they think I'm trying to derail where I'm really just trying to empathize.
Yeah, and I do think you try to push people in the chat. Like, I haven't really paid attention to.
If you challenge me, I'm going to squeeze you like an orange to see what kind of juice flows.
Okay, so let me set up a scenario that might illustrate this point better. If I am playing some comedy club, right, and some guy walks in with an AR-15, other automatic rifles are available, and starts just mowing down people, right? The cops show up. I'm a witness because I was on the stage, right, and I was facing everybody. So the first person they start with is me. They want me to make an identification, right? So they take me downtown and they ask me what happened, and I start saying I was killing the room. Killing the room means that I was having people in the aisles pissing their pants, right? That would be retarded to say to a fucking investigator. I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the cops. I wouldn't say I was killing the room.
You deserve to go to jail, just so you know.
Right, exactly. So that's well, I do, but that's not.
I am way too high tonight for you to be in the
room. But
no, I understand your point.
It's important to know who you're talking to first. You see, because Messenger here is some kind of fucking clinician. So you know what his fucking terms are going to mean. He's going to be using the clinical definition of the words. So if you walk in there saying, "Oh, you're OCD about fucking light switches or whatever," he's gonna immediately jump to that conclusion, and you should know better if you know that he's a fucking clinician. So let's get off of that and let's now argue about whatever the actual topic was.
What I really want to understand is why Immutable Destiny believes that he thinks that I derail conversations or filibuster them.
I didn't say you derail conversations.
So what do you think is occurring when you say, let's see if Messenger can have a conversation when I've had several? What do you mean by that?
What? Sorry, ask the question again.
Messenger, could it just be the possibility he was being a smartass?
Well, I mean, it's coming from somewhere, regardless.
Why does that come from somewhere exactly? Why are you trying to psychoanalyze me?
So here it comes. He's getting inside my head.
When I ask you a question.
You didn't ask me a question. You made an assertion.
No, I didn't. I asked you, why is it that when you have conversations that you impede the progress of the conversation? That's a question.
I do not impede the conversation. That's just your perception of it.
Okay, so has there ever been a conversation that you don't impede?
I don't know.
In your own opinion?
I don't know. I'm sure there has been, especially in my past.
So it means there's a possibility that you have, which means that it's just not my own conjecture.
No, because I would also say that because I become an expert when it comes to conversation and dialogue. Because that's what clinicians do. We become active listeners in a way that most people don't.
So your expertise in clinician now...
No, my expertise in active listening. My expertise in active listening. That's what I said.
Okay, so just a moment ago, you said that I made a qualitative assessment when I made a claim.
Yes.
Which I didn't.
No, you made a claim because you said can we have this? So it's basically a measure of sarcasm inflicted with, your viewpoint on that I derail conversations.
I'm saying can we, as in, is there a possibility of?
There always is. So your assertion is just moot.
That's not an assertion. That is a question.
No, it's not a question. It's a question with intention behind it. So
I'm analyzing someone.
No. Hey, listen, everything has to do with intention. So if I squeeze the orange, you're going to see what comes out.
I'll wait my turn. The fuck? I'll wait my turn.
Yeah, let Snuffy come in real quick because he hasn't had much of a chance to talk.
Go ahead, because you're assigning motive to me when you have no reason to.
No, I have absolute reason to because of the sarcastic nature and what you said, what you did.
No, I asked a question. How is that being sarcastic?
Because because it wasn't even when I came into the conversation to have a conversation, it had nothing to do with you, and you inserted yourself into it with an intention. So why don't you honestly tell the audience what your intention is, or just back off and let the other person?
I don't have an intention. I'm asking a genuine question.
That is, everybody when they do anything has intention. So if you say you have no intention, you're absolutely lying.
Okay, so. Because
everything we do is intention, bro.
Okay. So because
what is your intention when you psychoanalyze everything everyone else says in the worst possible way, in a clinical way, ignoring the actual substance of the argument, the intention of the argument, the subtext and context of the argument, and psychoanalyze everything everyone says in a clinical way so as to promote your argument and demote what they were attempting to say.
What do you think that I'm promoting?
Because that's what he gets paid to do.
What is your
No, it isn't that what I get paid to do, but you're making a bunch of assertions yourself to defend a position that you don't even support.
I am making
questions for a second because I'm fucking here for the first time ever.
Actually,
Okay?
Sorry, Snuffy. Let me know when you're done, dude. I actually had a really interesting question.
No, go ahead. No, I'll stop.
No. Let's start with Snuffy because I want to hear what
you're saying about other people. I have my own beefs. I will shut up now and wait my turn.
Cool. So I've actually got an interesting conversation here.
You have a lot of friends.
Why does everybody always hate on John? Everybody.
Sorry, Marty, I'm good. I promise, hon.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I overtalked Macabre. Go ahead, Macabre. I'm sorry.
That's all good, dude. So, Immutable, can I clarify something with you? Are you saying that you have a feeling that the messenger always gets bogged down in semantics?
I'm not sure he gets bogged down in semantics. I believe that he attempts to redefine terms when the original conversation cannot go according to the script.
Okay, well, that's an interesting observation, and I don't know, I'm not on either side because I don't know either of you. This is the first time I've met you. But, I mean, Snuffy used the word psychoanalyze and someone else did. And, sorry.
Yeah, I used it earlier.
The messenger's name John?
Yes.
yeah, John knows damn fucking well that's the wrong word, and if John was really obsessed with semantics, I think that he'd be jumping on don't use psychoanalyze because it has fucking nothing to do with psychology. So I actually see some evidence here that John's willing to let the misuse of words pass at times if it's not necessarily relevant to the conversation.
Right. But the issue is, though, is that he's only willing to do that when he knows the conversation is going in the direction he'd like it to go.
How do you think? What do you think it is? My intention is.
I'm not assigning attention.
But you said it only goes that way when he wants. It goes the way he wants to. So you have when you're making an assertion like that, you believe there's something true about my intention.
No, I'm saying there's an observation.
Observation. It's not an observation, John. It's a perception. It's a perception. It's your perception. And then I'm sitting there saying, why do you believe that's what I do?
Because that's all I've seen you do.
No, that's what you perceive me to do. So what would be my motivation to do that?
I have a conversation in the way you want it to?
Yeah, what's the
perception of the conversation? Come on.
But what's the underlying motivation for me? What's my payoff? What's my reward?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. I know I like you. I like you, and me and you get along really well. But I do know that a lot of people complain about the way you are with them in chats and stuff.
Well, sure, because if you sit there and come with empty assertions, and I put you to the test, and you can't sit there and stand up and give any type of evidence base, but every time I make an assertion about something, you want to see peer-reviewed articles. I mean, you're being hypocrites.
That makes a good point.
What?
I'm not making any assertions here. I'm making an observation. Me and you had a conversation. You tried to assign motive to me.
That's what I do. I have no problem saying that I'm assigning motive to you.
Why is it the case that I must have a motive?
Everybody has motive. So do I.
It's like he's the ARC 3-year-old. He asks so many questions. It's just like, what is the sky? What is milk? Where do babies come from?
Sure.
Jesus, one fucking question after another. I listen. I'm sitting here trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, trying to follow this conversation, and every time I pop back in mentally, it's like, what do words mean? And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh, I love you, Will.
Hold on. I'll be the honest party here, okay? My intention in asking him these questions is because I want to understand Messenger better as a person. Okay? That's all. No motive.
You should probably check the other streams. I mean, I think I've got Messenger pinned down really well. He's a clinician, and his goal in life is to help people with their mental problems, more or less. That's a lay, very simplified explanation. But if you haven't gathered that much from listening to him, then I can't help you. You might want to talk to Messenger because you need some therapy or something. He might be able to hook you up, bro.
Here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of truth to what Will says. I have a passion for people, and when I see people say things or behave in certain ways that take away from people becoming better versions of themselves, I absolutely will stand up against it or stand for it.
And I do say, like, we have had really good conversations, outside of the whole controversy that popped up.
Sure.
We've had really good conversations. It's been sincere. And the fact that, I mean, I don't want to, often use this label in a negative way, but you are fundamental in your thinking of your God. And yet you still are able to come and talk to the raging atheist and hear some of the crazier things I say and still see me as a human I am. I appreciate that. But I do notice that a lot of people don't like the way you are with them in chat. I think you come off the wrong way with people in chat. And I haven't never really seen it, though. Like I'm notoriously bad for looking at my chats. And if I'm in a chat, sometimes I'm looking at it But usually I'm watching that non-sequitur show and I get sucked into the show. So it's like the same thing. Like I'm not really looking at the chat.
Speaking of chat, somebody actually made a really good comment here. It's Korag Nightwolf. I don't know if he's one of your trolls or whatever, but this is
Korag. No, he's an old commenter of mine.
He wants to know. He says, "What is Messenger Reveal's definition of having passion for people?" That was fucking great. 10 points to Gryffindor or whatever house you're assigned to.
I'd say a passion for people is just getting to know people for who they are and trying to find out.
That didn't actually require an explanation. That was
I wanted to give one. I wanted to give one. I don't get to
this is seriously like the longest I think this one guy's been quiet.
I know.
That's because I'm at work and I didn't want to be too loud because everyone's like, "Shut the hell up."
Speaking of which, hey, are you going to hit me up on Duel Links or what? Go ahead and get at me in Discord.
Okay, I will.
All right.
I think I'll get my own definition for Messenger. I think compassion and things of that essence comes when people choose to agree with his own perception of things. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, that's bad faith. I don't like that.
It's okay. I mean, he doesn't seem to be fighting against it, so clearly.
I'm not fighting against it because it's an ignorant statement.
God. Children, please.
I can make any ignorant assertion you want. It doesn't mean just because they don't reply to it, it doesn't warrant it.
Except for the thing is, you reply whenever you don't like something I say.
It's because he gives you so much power, he needs your approval.
There's a very selective bias you have when choosing to respond, Messenger.
Yeah, I reply because sit there and say, "Oh, see, he didn't reply because of this," and it's just ignorant. Are you really that short-sighted?
How am I being short-sighted?
Because it's making observations and making observations that are true are two different things.
Okay, what is? How can my observation be true? Give me a metric.
Just tell me what's triggered you, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
How am I being triggered? I'm asking questions. Come on, man.
No, this is because it's clear that you have an. It's clear that you have an issue. So just say what it is and stop being a pussy.
What issue do I have? Come on.
You tell me.
Tell me.
I'll tell you what you have. You have insecurity issues. Obviously, I remind you of an authority figure sometime in your life that's made you feel very small and weak. And therefore, every time that I speak, it triggers something in you that keeps coming up. So if you don't want to sit there and even address any of those things, which I wasn't going to bring up because obviously you can't handle it, then let's not talk about it.
Messenger, because that implies something actually very interesting. If I'm triggered by you choosing to be inconsistent with your own logic,
it's not inconsistent.
That means that, in a sense, that I have
I'm not inconsistent with any of my logic. You're making an assertion that I'm inconsistent. It has nothing to do with anything because it has no foundation.
Every time
you're just speaking to speak.
Every time
you're just saying things that trigger you, which means you're projecting on me.
Every time you lose a conversation,
it's not every time. And I don't lose any conversations because I'm trying to win them.
I'm sorry you guys are having a bad breakup, but I need you guys to take your little girl chatter outside.
Can I talk too? I'm going to talk over people as well. I just want to point something out.
And as soon as I answered your question, you blew
out. Children. Take a fucking knee.
Let's have our Zen moment. I definitely want to say that Messenger reminds me of a correctional officer.
I just want to point out. Let's see. How many questions did I get? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions in less than a minute from Immutable. How am I being short-sighted? How am I being triggered? What issue do I have? How do I have insecurity issues?
With you, I don't have an issue with you.
All questions and no answers. Those are all of your questions that you just asked Messenger in the less than a span of a minute. Do you have any answers, or are you all just questions? Because I'm just wondering.
I'm curious as to his answer because
he won't answer shit because he doesn't have anything really to say. He just wants to make an assertion.
Then you seem to want to make an assertion about my past.
He's not too good at making assertions.
You asked the question. You asked the question, and I answered it.
You gave an opinion as to what you think
you asked.
He asked a litany of questions, and you answered all of them.
I answered every question you have, and you refuse to answer any that I have, which shows that you don't want to answer. You just want to assert. You sound like Darth Dawkins.
I know.
He kind of does.
That's me, John.
Fucking burn.
John. I don't know if you realize that.
Darth Dawkins of the atheist community on the Raging.
Hey guys, on a different note, I got 10 subscribers. So is it that cool?
Motherfucker,
Yeah,
am I
man.
subscribed? I think so.
Hey,
Ask me if
Yeah.
How do you not have more of this one guy? You're a unique person.
Because I'm an unlikable character.
Where is she at?
Hey, join the club.
I'm gonna. All right, so I'm gonna let Lady Tasha in, and I just, I think we should bring down the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
Let's try to be let's let people speak and not try to like.
I did want to.
Let's calm down the dumpster fire for a second.
I can bring the room down. So you know the atheist rationale, right? You see, he's in chat. Here's what I want you to
don't
do.
Start talking smack on atheist rationale, Will.
I know. It's about the hat. I want him to come on
don't
in
start
June.
talking smack about his damn hat. You're gonna.
I want to see if he wears it in June. So let's have him on next month.
What if he lives in Alaska?
Then that's acceptable. But I don't
I
think he
like
does.
his hat, Will.
You know, I'm going to let this go. I'm just going to make one final remark.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
That's
gosh,
not letting
okay.
it go, bitch.
You know, Messenger,
that
if
is
you
it.
want to continue this conversation. If that's what you want to do, let's go at it. But I'll just make my
Who wants to go at it now?
How about you turn
Inquisition.
your camera on so I can see your face?
Why does that matter to you?
Because I want to see your
Because
body
he's
language.
blushing. That's why. He's
I want to see your
blushing.
body language.
It really doesn't matter. You haven't asked anybody else to do that.
Because nobody else is going at me like you are.
You know, Messenger, you're turning redder than a
Technically, my
lot.
face is
I don't
on my
look red
phone.
at all. I'm as white as it comes, bro.
I can see you. I can see how you're being nervous.
I'm not nervous at all.
I can hear it in your voice, Immutable. You're shaking. You are shaking right now. I can hear your voice is wobbling. Are you okay? Are you getting a little excited? You're getting a little excited, buddy?
Well, I'm glad you're here defending Messenger. But at the same time, you pissed me off.
Who pissed you off?
Fine. Here's my observation.
Who
Since
pissed you off
Messenger
now?
seems the constant need to psychoanalyze.
I don't have a constant need of anything. You asked me to
Yeah, you
psychoanalyze
sounded
you.
orders to me. You did that
You
for the
asked
past
me.
20 minutes.
You asked.
No, I didn't ask you.
You asked.
Hey,
You said,
here's
"Hey,
the
tell
thing.
me why I'm this
Messenger,
way."
Hold on.
Hold on.
I didn't ask you to psychoanalyze me. I asked you to answer a very simple question, which somehow eluded you to be triggered.
Oh, it eluded
And
me.
to ask me what
What does
my
eluded
issue
mean? I don't think you're using the right word there.
What do words mean? What do words mean?
So now it's an issue when I use
Hashtag
the
what
word.
do words mean?
You
Oh,
actually
back.
describe the thing you're doing.
What does the word is mean?
All right.
I told you guys.
I did send the link, Lady
But here's my
Tasha.
observation.
I have to say this though, John. It was very clear that you have used quite a few of you've used your professional experience to get under Immutable skin, and dude, I mean, look, you can hear it in his voice. He's quite clearly upset by the outcome of this conversation. So
No,
maybe
I'm not.
stop
This
kicking
is
him while he's
honestly-
down.
No, honestly, I'm as happy as can be.
Macabre, you're
And
100%
you know what's gonna
correct.
happen?
I love you guys so much.
No. Immutable. Just from a third-party perspective, he played you like a fiddle. I don't know if you have a credible reason to put forth.
He's very defensive like me.
You've put forth a contention, and essentially what John did was dance around you and then deliver a right hook that fucking took you down.
That's all he ever tries to do.
It isn't all I try to
I
do.
really can't say.
Yeah, but
I really can't say he tries to do anything different. So that's not atypical.
There was a smile there, Messenger, when he said that.
I laugh because there's some truth in me squeezing the orange. And I've said it a million times. If you come at me with your boldness and your brashness, I'm going to test your well-being. 100%. I did it with the AC Rationale. I did it with John Peterson, who I really adore now.
Being an asshole.
Listen, interrupting me doesn't change anything. You can tell me all the things you want. It doesn't change anything.
The truth.
I don't value the opinions of ignorant human beings. Welcome to the world.
Okay, the truth you tried to add with me that you supposedly found.
Would you stop? It's over. You get it?
Yeah,
You were
dude.
knocked out.
I
I
want
to move on to the conversation.
Will,
nah.
I'm just a little sidetrack. I just gotta ask
Let
for
Lady Tasha
clarification. Like you meant to say I'm just fucking with you, not I'm fucking you, right?
Could have been a Freudian slip. Continue.
let Lady Tasha say what she needs to say.
Welcome back, Lady Tasha. My internet.
Hey, Lady Tasha.
Let's let the lady speak.
Hi, everyone. How do I say this? Messenger, you come off really condescending. Like, I watched your stream with Atheist Rationale. Like, you talk down to people. And I can test my will. You're not going to break me down. Like, I'm very strong. Like, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to, like, you know what I mean? But, like, you're really condescending. I don't think you realize that you are, but you really are. And it really infuriates me. You talk down to people. And it's not okay. Like, it bothers me so much.
Objection. I have hurt your feelings one time. So I don't believe you.
Yeah, see, I've had very different encounters with John. I don't know what you people...
I've never had an issue with
Let me respond to Lady Tasha.
If you agree with someone entirely, they're not
respond to Lady Tasha.
But if you're, actually stand up to a bully, they're going to try to put you down any way they can. So, just look at it that way.
Sorry, and also, Lady Tasha.
Can I respond to Lady Tasha?
Yeah, go for it. Let Messenger respond.
So Lady Tasha, here's the issue.
Oh, boy.
When you have somebody that makes so many assertions and so many attacks either on your character or your intentions, and I sit there and refute those things in a very harsh and direct way, and because you take their side, you think that I'm being condescending, I don't think that's okay. Because if you watch the majority of the conversations I have where people will listen to what I have to say, consider and respond. I've had conversations with dozens of people in these live streams. It's only the people who don't want to hear and only want to speak that I get very harsh with. And I admit, and there's no doubt, I was harsh with the atheist rationale. I was harsh with John Peterson. I've been harsh with the Immutable Destiny tonight. If you challenge me and you don't want to listen, I'm going to be very harsh with you, and the nature of your character is going to come out of that. You're going to get triggered. You're going to take offense. And if you sympathize with the person I'm attacking, you're going to think that I'm condescending, I'm an asshole. I completely get it. But they bring it on themselves in the way that they carry themselves, and they need to take responsibility for how they act and behave. Period.
So maybe that's
because I didn't do that. I didn't do that with Lady Tasha when we spoke, did I? Did I talk to you that way, Lady Tasha, when you and I spoke on Nox channel?
No.
Okay, because you didn't carry yourself in the way that they did. That's the difference.
You weren't skeptical.
Okay, so this is how I determine whether someone's an asshole or not, right? First, I go into a room, I say a bunch of crazy shit, and then I trigger them, and then I see how they react. Knock got triggered once. I came into his room, and then we were cool. I fucked on the atheist rationale, and now we're joking in the chat. Now, if after tonight, after Messenger is fucked with Immutable Destiny for I don't know how many fucking hours, he hasn't started whistling a different tune and started being a nice person and not giggling like a teenage girl every time he opens his mouth, then maybe we'll have accomplished something here, but we're not going to find out right this second. So maybe the goal of the rest of the stream should be maybe taking the topic in a different direction, because otherwise people are just going to start talking over each other. It's going to be like gang warfare. It's going to be like, oh, I'm on Team Messenger. Oh, well, I agree with Immutable Destiny. Where does that get us? Fucking circles.
We have 47 minutes. 47 minutes.
How about 47 plus 30? 77.
1:30 will be our latest cutoff point.
Okay,
so 1:30 at the very latest.
So all I want to say is this. If you're going to come at me in a harsh way, let's have a harsh conversation. If you want to sit there and really have a dialogue to understand where I'm coming from, I'll have that conversation too. But if you really don't care about why I believe the way I do or think the way that I do, don't ask questions and keep trying to talk around me or think you're going to outwit me or think that you're going to come against me and affect me in any way. It's not going to happen.
And this is one thing I will agree with the Messenger on.
I agree. And that actually leads me to a question.
Let Nox speak.
Well, it is how I approach these things. It's if I feel like you're being disrespectful, I'm going to be harsh, and I'm going to be lethal, and I'm going to go dark sometimes. So I do agree with that. Like it really is, to me, I can have different conversations with the same person in different circumstances. It really depends on the context of the situation. I tend to fall more on like agreeing with Immutable in this argument, but I just wanted to say I really agreed with that point.
I mean, but that's for like, I think most people in general, if two people are having a conversation and they're getting on with each other and they're being respectful of each other, then fine. But if one person's gonna come into the conversation like driving like a fucking freight train, what do you think the other person's gonna do? Just go, oh, okay, whatever. No, fuck you. You come for me, I'm gonna come for you back, and that's just in general. So if someone's attacked and the person's being attacked feels like they have to defend themselves, the attacker shouldn't go, whoa, you got all defensive. Well, fuck you. You came for me. What do you think I'm gonna do? Fucking sit there?
Yeah, I mean, I literally denied the second law of logic just because Darth Dawkins was being such a dick. You know, like,
if you're gonna be an asshole, then fuck you. I'm gonna fucking, if you're gonna fire at me, I'm gonna fire back, and that's people in general.
It's just like an endless barrage of questions. What is he supposed to do with that? He can sit there and answer the questions all day, but apparently Immutable's leading somewhere, but where?
I don't want to be bashing because for one, Immutable Destiny's not, this isn't his first time in this chat room. He's a very smart guy. I do think Messenger got under his skin, and he's trying to be broad in general and just have a general discussion about it. But I tend to agree with a lot of the points just listening to the argument, because I haven't interjected. I've just kind of listened and only really interjected when like the dumpster fires fucking just flame. I really need to get an animation like Non Sequitur has when these things happen. I swear to God. But go. I mean, continue. Continue.
It just leads me to a question. I mean, Messenger made a really interesting point, which is that if we want to have deep conversations, we should really try and explore the other person's point of view. But in our conversation, that wasn't exactly what happened. In my perception of things. Now, maybe it's not what Messenger was trying to do. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But it seemed like he was trying to assign motive and try to assign some kind of intention behind my action. I didn't see him try to delve further into his own philosophy or dive further into his own views.
Okay.
To try to understand his point of view.
I asked you questions and you wouldn't answer them.
When was the last time you did anything without any motive whatsoever? Were you just driving yesterday and you decided to just jerk the wheel for no apparent reason into an embankment and just come out all brain damaged? No, that doesn't happen. Everybody has.
Okay, but
everybody has motive.
Okay, Messenger. Here's the thing: if you have a question for me, ask it now, and I will answer.
I don't have any right now because I think the conversation died down.
Okay. You didn't have a question in the conversation, by the way.
Sure.
Well, you were doing all the questioning for everyone in the fucking room, to be fair.
Your question.
I seriously think you got a hard on for Immutable, Will.
I don't know. I can't see it. His voice isn't appealing, but maybe he's.
I think his voice is doing something to you. I don't know. It's triggering something in you.
No, I go for twinks, dude. That's my atheist rationale, really.
It's like Matt Powell.
I like it, Will. Like you're being serious. Like this is like the first time I think I've ever seen you actually contribute something to a fucking conversation.
I mean, I can do it, but I've got to actually get a fucking word. And the last time I was in, do you remember? I just fucking left. I just fucking left. I was like, this is fucking boring. I'm not saying anything. I'm trying to be respectful and quiet, but it's just an endless run-on sentence, just fucking diarrhea at the mouth. I was like, I'm just gonna go stream Yu-Gi-Oh or something. I'll see you later.
All right, yeah, Sokka. Everybody's in this conversation. Min, can you speak? Are you speaking? Are you in the conversation? Because if not, I'm gonna have to get you out of here so Sokka can come in.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yep, you're there. All right. Sokka, I'll send a link. I'm not sure if you can come in. We shall see.
Hey,
so I want.
Does Snuffy Wuffy Kiss have any questions for me?
So before that, I'll drop out for soccer. I think I've had a great convo, but it's the middle of the afternoon. I got shit to do, guys. But thank you all for having a chat.
I hope you come back.
Before you go, Macabre, I wanted to thank you for the interaction on Twitter. You helped me see some things today, and just I appreciate you reaching out like that. And you're welcome here anytime.
Thanks, dude. And I'll look forward to the next chat.
I hope you come back.
Thanks, dude. Right, ciao, everyone.
Yeah, see you later, man.
Bye. Bye.
Sokka, I will send the link. But Sokka, we're only going to, like I said, 1:30 at the latest.
All right, let's give
Don't let
Snuffy
me be
Wuffy.
bad.
Listen, Snuffy Wuffy Kiss and I were having a conversation in chat, and I want to be able to answer his questions.
I can't.
Or her, if it's a her, I'm not sure.
Is that your dog, Snuffy?
Snuffy Wuffy Kiss.
I just want to point out that Atheist Rationale said something really nice to me in the chat. And let me just bring it up here. If I can't find it, I'll paraphrase. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Atheist Rationale says, "I've always been attracted to emo boys with neck beards. That's why I like Will." It's not far off. And people either call me Adolf Hitler with more mustache, or they call me Baby Manatee. That's another one. That was cute. Thanks a lot for that, Knock.
I tried, man. I tried.
Oh, and emo Peter Parker from the third
That was
Spider-Man
my favorite.
film. Yeah, that's I get that from everybody, and I just don't see the resemblance. But
Yeah, maybe.
all right,
I got to do a purge of my emails again. Saka,
It's just the hair.
I'll do it on Facebook again, like the last time, because fuck my emails.
it's a beautiful evening. I see Lady Tasha left. I don't know why. Could it be that I'm still in the room? It might be.
Oh, she is busy, and she did just move. She probably just wanted to come in and put in her 2 cents with Messenger. But
and she did. We had our piece.
Maybe she just dropped out. She always knows that she's welcome to come in. So, Lady Tasha, I love you.
Eat.
She's my internet wife. All right.
So I think Snuffy's mic isn't working, maybe, or they're just not
No,
talking.
I'm here. I was just
Okay.
being polite and waiting my turn.
No,
Okay.
did you have like questions that you feel like you and I had unanswered in the chat?
Well, here's the thing.
Sure.
I don't necessarily have questions. I think me and you have disagreements on arguments. But if you'd like, I will go ahead and throw out a question.
Sure.
About what we talked about.
Sure.
And make that the subject of conversation if that's what we're going to move on to.
Sure. Let's take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do that while Knox getting in here.
Okay. All right.
Or Saka, I'm sorry.
No, I don't literally. I don't know anyone in this chat. I'm completely new here, so there's no bias. There's no friends. There's no, teamwork here.
Welcome.
Kind of completely new here. But so which I guess the main subject that me and you disagreed on earlier would be the abortion arguments. And
Sure.
regardless, no, this is a hot topic. This is something.
Min, can you mute your mic?
Yeah, somebody already did it.
Okay.
We can't. This is not something that can be summed up in a small conversation because there's a lot of subject involved. But as far as me and you were talking, the main question was about a person's right to donate of their own body to the life of another person. And my example that I presented was the example of, and it doesn't really even matter who, one person who is a living adult person with full rights being asked to donate, for example, bone marrow to another person who is a living person with full rights. Okay, this is a choice that person is being asked to make. It is a moral decision, but it is not something that anyone can force onto another person. How is that different than a woman who is pregnant being asked to donate of her body for the life of another person, at risk to herself? How are these different circumstances? One person being asked to donate of their body to support the life of another person versus a woman being asked to donate of her body to support the life of another person. Granting conception is life. Granting that a fetus has full human rights. How is this a different situation?
I would say
why is one requiring consent and the other something that I don't necessarily you, but that's kind of what you presented, want to force onto other people?
Well, I would say two things. Number one is with all the things that you conceded, as far as it being a life and as far as you being another human being that you're saving, then I would sit there and say that the woman who had consensual sex with a consensual man and they conceived a fetus is not the same as somebody being forced to give bone marrow or to give blood in a situation that would save another life.
So you're saying that all sex is consent to
No,
pregnancy?
No. I'm saying that if there's consensual sex that leads to conception, that
So
both
all
of those. I'm not
consensual-
finished. You're interrupting me when I'm finishing and giving you my answer.
Go ahead.
That when those two people consent to a sexual act, they're taking the responsibility that if pregnancy does occur, that they take the responsibility together to decide the fate of that fetus. That it's not just the woman's responsibility. There's a shared responsibility from the man.
Okay.
So I think it's different than one person given bone marrow or given blood.
I'll step back a second.
Yeah, I want Marty to talk.
Yeah. So as the only woman in the room.
Right. No, go ahead, please.
And as somebody who had an abortion 20 odd years ago, 19 years ago.
You're not that old. Don't act like it.
Thanks.
You're lying about your age.
You know, I fucking wish.
Are you really older than 42?
I'll be 42 next month.
Because you're younger than Nakasuchi.
No, I'm older than Nak.
Not 42.
I'll be 42 in August.
I'll be 42 in June.
Oh, Nak, you're a liar.
Yeah, I do tend to do that like early. Like I was like, oh, I'm 42, and it's because I'm like in a couple months I'm 42.
Yeah,
I done rounded up. You know?
That is not a couple months, motherfucker.
August, it's about 3 months.
We're at the end of May.
Less than 3 months now. Less than 3 months. Technically, it's a couple months.
We're middle of May, so all since the beginning of May, I've been saying I'm 42, so I just rounded up. So as someone who had to make that terrible decision, I'm really glad it was kept safe and legal for me to be able to do so. It was not fun. It wasn't something that, you know, I woke up that day, it was like, woohoo, I'm going to go kill a fetus. Yay, I'm going to go murder my baby. You know, it wasn't anything like that. I was engaged, and my fiance and I discussed at length whether or not we should bring a kid into the fucked upness that we had going on with living with his parents. He was an alcoholic. Both his parents hated me. We had one car. You know, we decided early. I was within the 6 to maybe 8 week range. So we decided, the collective, we decided that maybe that's not a good idea for a kid. So we went to the place, which, by the way, the government doesn't fucking pay for abortions. I paid for it. Abortions are not government funded. Sure. I'm going to say this a little louder for the people in the fucking back. The government does not pay for abortions.
You can scream it as loud as you want, and they will never believe. Like it is disgusting the level of misinformation.
No.
But I do know that Saka is gonna probably agree with Messenger's side of this argument. And he's really good about it, and he's gonna blow you guys away. And me and Saka's gonna argue. So go, Saka, welcome.
Well, let Marty finish, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Marty. Sorry, I just wanted to get Saka into.
No, you're fine. So that's another huge misconception, that the government should not be paying for abortions. They don't pay for abortions. My fiance and I at the time paid for it ourselves. That's sure. Number one. Number two, I don't know about for other women, but it was not a fun decision that we came to. It was sure. Not a fun conversation. We sat down and was like, you know, we want to go out and party, so let's go. No. And maybe some women do. I don't. That wasn't the conversation that we had at all. It was at length, a lot of tears, a lot of what do we tell the parents, because his parents were hardcore Catholics, like hardcore Catholics. So.
Did they know?
Yeah, after she, yeah, and that was a whole nother thing.
That's tough.
Yeah, but they hated me from almost the beginning. So I really was.
Wait, because you were a witch in their world.
No, well, yes, yeah. I mean, you know, but I mean, it wasn't fun. However, I'm glad it was kept safe and legal, so that I would have been able to. That I was able to get safe, legal. I didn't get sick. I didn't get injured. I didn't get. They sent me home with meds and aftercare instructions, and call this number if you need something, or blah 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 blah. But I want to say this right now: making abortion illegal will not stop abortion.
Right.
Just throwing that out right now, because
it could stop some abortions or a majority of abortions.
No,
here's now.
No, I'm just saying it could. You don't know
Shut
because
the fuck up, asshole! Shut the fuck up, asshole! You are wrong.
you can't sit there and tell me to sit there and make accusations and get all angry about it. That's not going to make it okay. I have the right to my opinion too.
Here we thought I got
This is why I don't like this conversation.
Can I just quickly?
No, it's okay.
Let me.
I'm not telling anybody to shut the fuck up.
Illegal.
Listen.
Only make illegal abortion
Usa.
happen.
Hey, can you just relax for a second? Let me bring it to a logical, toned down place, okay? So here's my position on abortion, and I think both parties will probably agree to a greater or lesser extent on this, okay? So I used to work for OPMC, Office of Professional Medical Conduct with the state of New York, right? So part of what we did was investigate doctors on not malpractice, but there's other specific guidelines outside of malpractice as to the conduct that a professional can get engaged in or cannot. So like giving your patients pills that they don't need, like narcotics, opiates, things like that. That's one thing. There was legislation that was passed in New York State that allows abortion for basically any reason. The thing that I hated about that bill the most, that I was just talking to Marty about in the side chat, is that it's not just doctors in New York State anymore. Now it's anybody who can be classed as a medical professional, which I think Messenger, you might qualify. What's your level of education, and do you have a doctorate?
I have a master's in clinical mental health counseling, so I was practicing as a therapist.
Okay, so you might actually qualify because I know that nurses definitely can. I did a whole long video about this. So here's my position on abortion. I want abortion legal and safe and rare, which is sort of a Republican talking point, which is where everyone gets the idea, especially Knock in the beginning, that I'm some kind of conservative or something.
I just think that because you hang out with Brett Keane.
Oh, okay. So me and him were talking last night towards the end of the stream, because this is actually one I wanted to come in and talk about anyway, because he was like, you can't have a serious conversation. I was like, no, I can do that. So this is where we're at.
Everybody wants to talk about this shit.
Well, no, I know. So let me.
Just came up. That's why.
Well, no, it's just I've had a bad experience with this conversation recently.
So let me de-escalate here. Here's what I want. I want abortion legal. I want some limitations. I want us to get to a point where we can narrow down exactly how many weeks we want these abortions to stop happening. Then I want to talk about the outliers. So the outliers in abortion that everyone gets bogged down in is incest, rape, and then people who use abortion as contraception, however many few there are. I think that there needs to be some parameters in there, because there are some crazy people who would just do it to fuck with Republicans at this point, because there are seriously deranged people.
Sure.
They are few.
Yes. That's why I was saying that when we came to the decision, for my decision, it was not made lightly. We did not wake up. I didn't wake up that they had breakfast, fucking watch some cartoons, go decide to have abortion, and fucking come home and have a sandwich. It wasn't like that for me at all.
I don't agree with the Georgia bill. I understand that you live in that vicinity.
I live in Georgia.
Right. I don't know how much. I didn't want to like dox you or release, because side chat nobody can see, so I didn't want to say it.
Right. No, I live in Georgia, and I can't get pregnant anymore. I'm in menopause, so if I happen to get raped and get pregnant, I can't get pregnant. So yay! But right. But the Georgia bill doesn't even. I don't even think covers that. They want a 6 week.
Wait. Hold on a second. You're saying that you might get raped and get pregnant?
Because right.
What? Hold on. That's the messenger says that's an outlying case, and we shouldn't pay attention to it on the bell curve.
I think that we should.
The thing with that is less than 1% of rapes and sexual assaults.
Well, no, not only that, but not only that.
Reported. So that's why it seems like a lot of abortions don't come from rape, because a lot of rapes aren't reported.
Right,
so,
but don't forget that. Don't forget that. But also, teen pregnancies from places where they don't teach sex education.
Exactly.
That's an outlier. That's an outlying statistic on the bell curve, and we shouldn't pay attention to it, according to the messenger.
Which is why it's not a pro.
But that's not a. You know what? Here's the thing: the fact that Texas has a maternal death rate equal to a third world country.
No, it's actually
the fact that women. Shut the fuck up, bigot. The fact that women
You're the only
women die in Texas in childbirth
you
equal
realize
to a
there's
third
6 other
world
states worse
country.
than Texas?
That's not that bad. It
There's
could
6
be
other
worse.
states worse than Texas.
That's not so bad on the bell curve.
There's 6 other states worse than Texas.
Oh, you're right. There's 6 other states worse than Texas. That makes it okay.
And guess what? The 46
that makes it not so bad on the bell curve.
46 state
we
isn't
need to
even
make
much
America.
worse. Did you realize that the majority
Texas,
of maternal
because there's
deaths,
states worse than
the
Texas.
majority of
That's
maternal
why
deaths
we
have
should
to come from
continue.
medical practice? So you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Listen about
majority of the deaths from maternal come from malpractice of medical doctors.
Malpractice.
You're talking
That has
about
nothing to do with lack of sex education, lack of women's health care.
It's
the
not like a women's health care.
discontinuation
It's a
of Planned
medical
Parenthood.
practices, which
When
you guys have
girls
made
who
worse
get
for
pregnant at
medical
age
practice.
13 because they have
Death row.
zero sex education and then
Calm
die
down.
on
Your ass at
childbirth.
this point,
Calm
dude.
down.
So yeah, let's take a time out. I'm going to point real clearly that I'm pro-choice. Everybody knows that I put that out. But this
I'm pro-choice, more or less.
What's happening right now, and this ain't the first dumpster fire that we've had tonight, but this is the fundamental reason why these bills are being able to pass right now. This is the fundamental reason why we've gotten to this point, is you cannot have a serious conversation about this issue. It involves emotion, and once you get to that point, then you just can't have a serious conversation about it any longer.
I'm doing my best to table my emotions.
Very valid. Yes, I'm in opposition to what you and Messenger are putting out there right now. I'm pro-choice. I'm fully against these bills, but we got to have a rational discourse, and we can't label people bigoted because that's no longer a rational discourse. And because these are hot topic issues, and why I'm saying that this is how we've come this far now is because once we get emotional and we can't have these serious conversations, well, then they can pass through these crazy bills and they can have a serious, legitimate threat on Roe v. Wade now, because we have not talked about this seriously. We get emotional, and this is why I don't like this conversation. And this is why this was not the conversation for me to have when I was drinking. Definitely.
I don't know. I don't know what Messenger's opinion on abortion is, because I've only heard his position from other people who aren't him.
Well,
So
I'm assuming Messenger's position solely based on Messenger's religion. I'm assuming and from what I'm hearing, he's against abortion.
I wouldn't. Messenger, do you want to go ahead and clarify? Like I said, I'm at 12 weeks. So if you have a benchmark for how long until you can have an abortion, or you know what I mean? Like
I think I'm with you, Will, on that.
Mine was before 12 weeks. I was within 8 to maybe 6 to 8.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Because I remember saying, like, look, if we're going to do this, we have to do this soon. Because if it would have been more than 12 weeks, I wouldn't have went for it.
And the issue is, like, if you just miss a period,
you miss 2 periods, that's...
Yeah, I want people to have... They need enough time from the time that they learn they're pregnant to reasonably make a rational decision. So we need to give them that time. But at the same time, understand that there is a life growing in a woman's belly. So, and you know, I'm not for like all abortions, whatever you was talking about in New York. That sounds crazy to me. I think people need to have a rational conversation about this, because if we don't start having rational conversations about this, Roe v. Wade is gone. They're better at it than we are.
It's pretty fucking close. At least down here it is. It's pretty fucking close. Now, I want to ask the conservatives in the room a quick question. Are any of you guys against social service programs like Medicaid and Medicare and food stamps and WIC and blah blah blah? Are any of you against that? Because if any of you are, I'm not trying to hate, but you can't call yourselves pro-life. Because if I would have had that kid and my ex and I would have split up, I would have needed all of those programs because I was underemployed at the time and I would not have been able to raise a kid. So if any of you are more concerned about the 6 to 8 week fetus, more concerned about that fetus that was aborted rather than the help I would have needed when that kid was born, then nobody can call themselves pro-life.
I just want to know if maybe my opinion was asked, because I don't know. Most people think that I have like conservative views. I don't see it that way.
Yeah, you're definitely lumped in there.
Then
fuck you.
Then I guess because both me and my mother have worked for WIC at one point, I'll say that WIC is mishandled. I think that the WIC is definitely too restricted. Welfare, there's probably too many people on welfare, and it needs to be narrowed down to probably the most needy and indigent. I think most of our social programs in this country are mishandled. I don't want them to disappear entirely, but that's my only point of contention. I would say that most women should have some basic level of access to infant care, especially if you live in a red state that's pushing women to have these children in the first place. It was like George Carlin said, if you're preborn, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So they don't give a shit once you're born. They just they basically the state. I know the state apparatus is all about the troops and all this bullshit, and they're fine feeding them into the war machine. But when it comes to fetuses, it's another matter entirely. I am legitimately just looking for some consistency, because I'm mostly fundamentally anti-war. I think that we should probably have a good civil defense force. I think that the military serves a good purpose sometimes, and I've talked about some almost pseudo conspiracy level shit when it comes to the military apparatus. But for the most part, I think that having a strong military is a good idea, if for no other reason as a deterrent to other countries fucking with us. So that's mine.
You made a really good point about abortion and ended with military. But I dig it. You're being serious.
Let me respond real quick to the chat. The messenger. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong with facts and not quoting my emotional outburst as your proof that I'm wrong. Prove me wrong with facts.
Wrong
That's
about what?
what I thought.
Wrong about what?
Wrong about what I said about every fucking fact I asserted that you fucking dismissed. Period. Asshole.
Is Snuffy Brian Mullins, the fox with the chip deer, aka Brian the Furry Cannibal? Because if you go to my channel and watch that video series, he sounds exactly like that.
There is only one Snuffy, and
does anybody say that's like a reasonable request to do?
Prove me fucking wrong. Prove me wrong about the fucking maternity death rate in Texas.
What are you gonna rip off your shirt and challenge him to a street fight too? Fucking yelling world star.
He'd probably get his ass kicked for doing that.
That's funny. But literally, I posted facts in the chat and asked him to prove me wrong.
I'm the one that
he literally said your emotional outburst shows that you're wrong.
I didn't say you're wrong. I'm saying I don't want to pour any more gasoline on your fire, which is what we've been trying to dissipate.
Okay. You don't want to talk about facts.
If you want to talk about the maternity, the maternal rate of mothers in the state of Texas, I went and looked up the statistics on it. 46 states got.
And did you actually do studies and compare that to the death rate of third world countries and what it used to be a decade ago?
Yes, the third world countries actually have a higher mortality rate because they don't do hospital births, which is what you thought birth was a medical procedure, right?
And so that's why you don't think hospitals are necessary for births. Okay.
I'm saying that birth. No, what I'm telling you is that you don't want to listen. That's the problem. You ask me a question and I go to respond. You're just like the atheist rationale. You don't.
You don't respond. You never actually respond.
I'm attempting to respond, and you keep interrupting, and everybody's seeing how ignorant your viewpoint is because you can't listen. You have an inability to listen. You listen with your mouth.
I think the atheist rationale can listen. I'm just putting that up.
No, I'm just saying, dude. In our debate, the dude interrupted every time I went to respond to his questions. He had no real dialogue.
I get accused of that too, though. I do it.
That's why I was talking on atheist rationale.
You interrupt, Knock, because you want to be able to share your thought. He interrupted because he didn't want to hear what I had to say. There's a difference.
It's like,
so anyways, in response to Snuffy Wuffy Kiss, I said I went and read the articles about the maternity rate of mothers in Texas and the mortality rate. And I saw that it showed 34.7 women die out of 100,000 in birth. Okay. It was number 6 out of 46 states that could report over 100,000 deaths within 100,000 births within the last 3 years. The other 4 states reported like less than 10,000. Which was like Vermont, Alaska.
Did you
Stop interrupting. I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead.
When we're sitting there looking at the mortality rate, it has nothing to do with natural birth. It had to do with medical procedures.
You're changing the subject.
I'm not changing it because it shows it in the report. Do you want me to post the goddamn link on the?
You're literally telling me not to interrupt while you continue to drift away from the subject that I pointed out.
I'm going to post a link. Here we go.
No. Literally,
this dude needs to sit.
Did you look up the whole point that I pointed out? That since the institution of abstinence-only education, the death rate for mothers giving birth has gone up.
I posted the link in the side chat for anybody who wants to go get the majority rate.
Are you listening at all? You're just.
Why should I listen to you when all you want to do is assert what you want to assert? You don't listen.
There it is again.
Oh, there
can I just point out
his viewpoint?
I'm trying. I'm really trying. And he's doing what he does.
Okay, so 10
I'm really trying to stay on subject, and he continues to throw it away and try to make it a different subject.
I just want to calm everyone's tits.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Everyone gets all antsy in their pantsy over abortion, but everyone in this room must know by now that between guns and abortion, this is just a cudgel that each side of the political aisle beat each other over the head with. I posted this in the chat, and I'll just say it now. 10 states since 1973 have tried to legalize abortion, and not a single one of them was officially ratified or acknowledged by the United States government, the federal government. And every time we go through this, and there's a similar number of legislation on the gun side, and these two things are corollary. Basically, whenever one side feels like it's losing ground or they need a good distraction, this is where we go. They'll bring up some gun legislation or some abortion legislation.
Guns, abortion, and gays. Those are the distractions. Guns, abortion, and gays. So
there was literally had nothing to do with what I was saying, but go ahead.
I'm saying heavy shit going on in the White House in order for them to have to fucking.
Yeah.
I'm saying you're getting all worked up. Everyone's getting. My point of saying that was everyone gets all worked up over this, and then nothing ever comes of it. And I bet you in a couple of years, if we're still streaming like we are now, and it's an open discussion, we'll be having the same fucking argument. It's not. Listen.
You're exactly right, Will, because it's going to take a couple years for it to even get to the Supreme Court.
Raging Atheist, Raging Atheist, Knock, said it in the beginning. It's like, okay, we get to this point in the argument, we all just start fighting. It's weaponized rhetoric. That's all it is. And,
God damn it, Will. When did you become the fountain of philosophy here?
Because I'm really fucking stoned. That's why.
I mean, I didn't come in to start a fight. You guys started talking about abortion. I'm the only woman in the room, and I'm the only one who's had one. So I'm like, well,
I did have a woman.
Have I offended you, Marty, at all with my position?
No. I mean, honestly,
Marty, I did have a woman tell me she had an abortion. After the fact, I think she was. We were really young and stupid, and I think she was like lying about it. But it's always kind of stuck with me. Like, what if she did? You know, what if she did?
Honestly, John, I don't even know what your position is. So,
her, me?
No, John.
Oh yeah.
That's why I asked it before. I still like to hear it if he's.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm pro-life, but I don't sit there and have any issue with people doing what they do. Period. I have empathy for anybody who does anything because I realize it couldn't be any different in that moment for those people. So I have love and care and concern for anybody. I know that I counseled women who had abortions, and usually it was women who had children after the fact, and they were dealing with depression and regret and remorse for what had happened. And that happens more often than people want to sit there and admit. They sit there and say, oh, a woman has a right to sit there and decide. But you know what? When people have to get gastric bypass surgery, when they have to go through that procedure, they have to come to counseling and get clearing. But for abortion, doesn't matter. They don't need it. Why is that? Why would somebody need to sit there and get approval? I'm just saying, why would people need to get pre-clearance from me as a counselor?
People feel bad about things they have done all the time. That life has forced them into situations that they had no control over, and they feel bad about it all the time.
I'm not talking about no control over.
Snuffy, hold on.
All right.
I'm just saying I've had women who had to get counseling from me and get clearance for their mental well-being and stability before they go get gastric bypass surgery so it can help with weight loss. But for abortion, it's not required or mandated in any state that abortion is legal. I think it should be mandated because a person has to be in a healthy state of being to be able to deal with some of the consequences that they don't understand until after it occurs. And who knows what kind of, because if somebody comes up and admonishes them from their religious group or from their family group or makes them feel guilty, or somebody goes and actually watches an abortion procedure and sees what occurs, whether it be at the first trimester, second trimester, or even at partial birth abortion, which has been legalized in some states sometime in our American history. If you don't realize those things, you don't know what type of consequences it potentially possesses.
Well,
you don't know that.
For me, I'm going to speak for me. Because,
sure.
You know, now that I am menopausal and can't have kids because I don't get a period anymore, sometimes I do regret my choice because that might have been my only shot. I haven't had a scare or any sort of situation where like, oh shit, I missed a period or I might be pregnant, blah blah blah. Since that, I never even had a scare. My husband didn't want kids, and I can't have kids. So maybe the goddess did me a favor with the menopause thing because he doesn't want a kid in the first place. But sometimes I do regret it, and other times where I look at where my life was then and where I'm at now, and how long it took me to get to where I'm at now. I'm 42 years old. I just got a career. I worked for this place for 3 years. I just finally have a career. I finally have a savings account. There was no way that I could have provided for a kid. I was barely able to provide for myself. I'm still kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now, and I'm married, and I still kind of live paycheck to paycheck right now. So when I'm speaking for myself. It was not an easy choice. My fiance and I at the time discussed at length, tears. Maybe we don't do it. Maybe we do it. And I remember saying to him, well, clock is ticking. If we're going to do it, we have to do it before this date. Because how I even knew I was pregnant was that I was sick as a dog constantly. I was bedridden until I actually went up to the procedure. I went to the hospital for extreme amounts of pain and dehydration because the only thing I was able to keep down was water. And I was barely able to keep that down. So they said, well, maybe there's a shot that you're pregnant. And I'm like, well, I can't be pregnant because I feel like I'm ovulating. I feel like I'm PMS, but I can't get out of bed and I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. Did a pregnancy test, and that turns out what it was. And here's how far along you are. So that's how I had the date of how far I am and when. Because if I was beyond 12 weeks, I wouldn't have went through with it. I would not have felt okay with going through with it. And then there was the question of, well, just give it up for adoption. You could have done that. I don't share a chocolate bar with people that I know. My rule at home is if I buy a specific piece of candy and I tell my husband don't eat it and he eats it, I'm like, did you eat my candy? I told you not to eat my candy. So I personally would not have been able to what's the word I'm looking for? Get attached to something, a baby, whatever, at some point a baby growing, living and all that inside me, and just hand it over to another person. I saw somebody throw a kitten out of their window one day on my about a year or so ago on my way to work, and I cried like a baby trying to save this kitten, and he had to be put down a week later because he didn't get any better. I still have his ashes. I still have his ashes in a little thing from the funeral home. He wasn't even my cat, so I could not fathom carrying a baby for 9 months and giving it over to somebody. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. So that's why I'm like, I just don't want to know it at all. It was not an easy choice.
The too long didn't read version of that, I would say, is probably people have to make choices in the moment because time is often of the essence. So we do it with
very literally was of the essence. Yes.
Look, my family and I run a dog rescue.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I see a dog on the street, I literally cannot pull over and rescue that dog. I can't. I don't have the ability to do so. I can't support another dog. I have 4 fucking dogs. My mom has 3 of her own, and literally 2 fosters, and she boards other dogs as well. We can't save every single life we see on the street. It is a hard decision to make, but I can't.
I agree.
And I cry every time I see it.
So we do what we can, and we ask everyone in our society to do as much as they can too.
Let me come in real quick, because we're down to 35 minutes at most, and this is a serious topic, and I don't want people to think that I'm rushing it, but we got 35 minutes. But my take on this, and I'm pro-choice. I wouldn't want to be a part of a very hard decision. I think the pro-life movement has several atrocious aspects to it, and I'm going to list them out real quickly, just so I can. And then I would like to hear Sokka, if he can speak, because I've never heard Sokka stay quiet. So maybe his mic ain't working, and I know he's got good input on this too. And I would like for him to be able to say something before we end. This is why I find the pro-life movement the most atrocious, and it's because I'm an atheist. And there's several reasons to find it atrocious. There's several atrocities that are being committed. We can talk about the assault on women. We can talk about the assault on the Constitution, the assault on individual freedom, all of that. Atrocious shit. I stand in opposition of it. I understand and like to have rational conversations because I truly understand defending life. So I appreciate that. I would not... outside of very extreme circumstances, I do not support any type of long-term abortion. I'm right around the 12-week mark. What I find most fundamentally atrocious about what's happening right now in this country, the narrative that not enough of the news is speaking of, and everybody should be, is that I find this, and maybe I'm wrong, that even though it's a political issue, it's a political issue that's been hijacked by a religious movement. It's been this is Christian, a fundamental Christian movement influencing our government, and the most atrocious attack here is the attack on church and state, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's recognizing that as an issue here, and it should be one of the major issues. If we're going to live in this fucking creative dream that is America with its Constitution. So that's what I would like to add. And if Sokka, if you have anything to add, and I don't want to take away from what the experience that Marty was sharing with actually going through an abortion. I think more people, I hate it when people dismiss the hard decision and consequences of that decision. But please, Sokka, if you'd like to come in.
Can I make a joke real quick? Naka, if you let Sokka speak, he's going to speak for 30 minutes, and we won't be able to have an answer.
You had to fucking go there, didn't you?
That is a good point. See, that's a good measure because like as soon as I'm done talking, then you can just shut down the stream.
We do have 30 minutes, Sokka.
I love all of you, by the way.
I would like to talk to Sokka.
You motherfucker.
Love you too. Kiss, kiss.
Go ahead, Sok.
So yeah, okay. I guess starting off on the position of the. I'm just going to address Nock's points there, and this isn't just coming from a pro-life or a pro-choice position, but just kind of just analyzing the points that you find atrocious there, and mainly to do with the separation of church and state. Is that when it comes to the separation of church and state, it's that. A lot of things aren't going to be there's no religion that's going to be held above another. Like that's kind of like the idea behind it. There's no test for office for religion is like, I think how it's phrased. I'm not American, so you have to excuse me if I screw up your constitution.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So it's just that nobody in office. No, it's not going to be ran like a theocracy. You're not going to have to have a dedicated religious faith in order to be in office. At least that's kind of like the spirit behind that law there.
However.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of howevers, and how does it actually play out compared to how it's written? I think that one of the things that we forget though is that people will when people like go to make laws, when lawmakers and even the citizens of the country are appealing for certain laws to be made, is that their moral compass that they have that dictates what laws are going to be brought into place absolutely can be influenced by their religious beliefs. These are two different things. It's not a test of religion. It's not like a separation of state or church and state issue when someone chooses to vote with whatever fundamental beliefs that they do have. It's just that there's just no test for office, and no religion is going to be held above the other. So there has to be kind of like the separation between religion influencing the government and people voting from their own moral perspectives that they do have. And the freedom of religion that we do grant for people also within the U.S. Constitution allows people to have these religious beliefs that impact how they live their life and the decisions that they want to have like their opinions thrown out there. And if they're popular enough, then yeah, they're going to be voted in. But that's not a separation of church and state issue. I don't think that you can point to that and say that it's like, okay, well, this is clearly a violation of church and state. It's not.
It kind of is though, a little bit, Sokka, because a lot of these anti-abortion laws are made by extreme fundamental Christians who are saying, well, every life is precious to God because that's their belief. That's fine. You want to believe that.
Wait.
And not only that, but I lived in the South, so go ahead, Will, and then
it's actually not the it's actually not the First Amendment that most conservatives cite. It's the 14th Amendment, and it has nothing to do with separation of church and state. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then there's, I think, further in Section 3, it was the end of prohibition. So being able to take out or put in whatever you like in your body was part of it. And then they argue the first section, which says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is where they say, well, it's a life, so you can't end it because they're a person. They believe that they're a person inside the mother's womb, a fully formed human being. Then that means that they're afforded rights by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution to not be deprived of life. So that's
of course, I'm not saying that the conservatives are saying it's a issue.
No, I'm saying where it's argued for Roe v. Wade.
It's not.
Roe v. Wade is both cited and argued against in the 14th Amendment by the first and the third section of the 14th Amendment.
So what Will's saying is right there. This is why when we bring these things up, that you can't say that it's directly it's a violation of church and state, because it's not. That's the issue.
Right.
Well, all right. So I'll clarify what I mean and what I mean directly. So for one, I've done a lot of research on movements like Quiverful movement, and that's a severe fundamental movement, but they have a lot of power. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that the Quiverful movement would be something like the old conspiracy theories of the Masonic, the Freemasons, and that these people are very powerful and spread all over the country and our political system and our different layers of everything. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't really subscribe to this, but I have studied Quiverful and I've studied movements like it. And I lived in the South here in America, in the Bible Belt, where a lot of these laws are coming from. So the Quiverful movement in particular, you can look at the Duggars, who are very famous, but their family are most famous, I would hope, not for the stupid ass show and the sexual assaults, but for their assault on church and state. And what I mean by that would be their lobbying of our politicians to instill, and this is the mission statement of these movements, Christian law upon America. And that's what I mean. We are under assault, Saka, here in America by religious institutions that wish to instill Christian law, which would make us subject to their Bible, and people aren't talking about it. And you,
yeah, but that's a different issue.
With every point that you just made, but we are under assault, and I'm going to fight against it.
Right, but that's a different issue. Like, that's the moment that the Bible gets brought into public schools or forced worship at work, or or anything like this, like that, those are issues that can be brought up, and addressed through the separation of church and state. But like I said, I think that it's what you're putting out there as that this is a result of that. I think that there's a difference between separating church and state and separating people from voting from the moral intuitions that they might have.
Yeah,
I think those are two separate things.
Yeah, and that's why I enjoy having these conversations with people like yourself, because I know you're not coming from a religious place. So you're only coming from a political place, and it's a political conversation. And pretty much every point you made, I could agree to a point, even though I was standing in opposition politically. But I am coming from this, looking at religious institutions, utilizing pro-life. Not everybody that's pro-life is coming from a biblical place with it, right? So,
and there's also has to be there also has to be a separation between like I was talking about last night, is that there's a legal obligation and then there's a moral obligation. And from the legal obligation point of view, that this stuff should be mandated by some type of legislation, I completely and avidly against that. And I think that the Messenger Reveals, was said that he's against that as well as like a lot of people, that might even hold pro-life positions are against any type of legislation there. There's because there's a certain kind of like libertarian kind of view that people have too, that nobody should be forced to by the government to do stuff that they don't want. Okay, like whether it's like medical procedures or anything, that you should have some type of bodily autonomy or like personal autonomy in what you do. And I think that's guaranteed by the rights that are provided by well, in your case, your constitution, or the basic laws of any country out there, or most Western countries out there. But when it comes to the idea of moral obligations, so like I think that there are moral obligations that we have towards the unborn that I don't think are discussed enough. I think that the issue there is that a lot of people try to dismiss those moral obligations I think we do have. And this isn't just like a position that's advocated by religious people. There's atheists that have held this position as well. And Christopher Hitchens was an advocate for this type of position as well. He didn't believe in legislation for this, but he was pro-life in the sense that he believed in that we had a moral obligation to the potential humans that that are unborn.
When do you consider a fetus a person with a fully functional person with rights, Saka? At what stage do you consider that
with rights? So rights are things that are guaranteed by the government that people can act upon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fetus that I had when I had my abortion, that fetus wasn't able to act upon rights.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Which is why I think that the concept of animal rights is ridiculous. There's no such thing as animal rights. Animals don't have rights, but we can say that we have moral obligations towards animals. And, you know,
functioning sentient beings that exist outside of a host. I have a cat who's sitting in the room right now. She exists right here. She's a fully functional sentient being.
Right. Well, she's not sentient, but yeah, I get what you're saying. She has some level.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Is that the cat can't act upon its rights. The cat's not aware of what rights it has have. You know, like I said, rights are things that are guaranteed by the government that you have the ability to act upon.
Neither was my 6 to 8 week old fetus.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, you know, a fetus has any type of inherent rights that are guaranteed by the government. What I'm saying is that, you know, purchased from a position of moral obligations. That even if you say that that animals don't have rights because animals can't act upon the rights, they don't know what they're guaranteed by the government, doesn't mean that we don't have moral obligations to, you know, for example, the ones that we raise as livestock for food, that we don't have a moral obligation to make sure that they live, you know, relatively painless lives, and that, you know, when they are killed, they're done so with compassion and not undue suffering. You know, these are things that we kind of guarantee. If you put a dog down, we just don't, you know, torture. You know, we make it as comfortable as possible because we still have moral obligations to things that, you know, don't actually have the ability to act upon their rights. So when you do something like a fetus, for example, you know, and I would say as far as like we don't guarantee rights to children most of the time. The type of rights that we have to act upon, most children don't have as well. You know, so the rights come at certain times.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't want to detract from the subject, but it's exactly on this subject. Was the original question I asked, and I want to. I don't know what your name is, but it says Sokka on the live stream thing.
Sokka works.
And, you seem to be really good at understanding the nuance and depth of things. But I wanted to ask my original question that wasn't really ever addressed was, where is the problem with my argument that compares asking an adult person with full rights to donate, for example, bone marrow, which is something that won't kill them. It's just merely an intrusive medical procedure to save another human's life, versus asking a woman to donate her womb to save the life of an unborn child. Where is the problem with?
I am under
so in that in that case right there, like if you like uterus for rent, you know, I want
to understand where the problem is with my analogy so that I can correct it if it is wrong.
I don't think that I think that the goal for us, like for us as a societal species, should be. I mean, anyone here who recognizes as a humanist would also agree that the preservation of life is a virtue of, you know, humanism. You know, so if there is a process that's available that can preserve life, which would be like, you know, transferring in a hypothetical world where this is possible, where you can transfer a fetus from one uterus to another, then I think that would be, you know, greater good.
Or even scientific advancement where we could get to the point where we could do this, you know, out of uterus.
Yeah, and this is another point I brought up before, is that like anything that goes toward any advancements that we have that work towards the preservation of life, because this is the thing with when abortion is the antithesis of preservation of life. You know, it's you're killing something that is living by all definitions. So when, you know, if our goal is the preservation of life, then yeah, any scientific advancements that we do have that help guarantee this, you know, we should be, you know, working towards those, or, you know, trying to encourage those type of processes rather than the termination of a living organism or a living human being.
I am under no obligation, morally or otherwise, to carry a fetus against my wishes, against my will.
Right.
I am under no obligation.
Back to the original point of donating.
So nobody, Right, and that's fine because that's not an issue if that's the position that you hold, because like the legal obligation, like I've said, I've already disagreed that we should be legally required to do anything. Like I'm pro-vaccine. I think everybody should vaccinate their kids, but I'm against the legislation that would say that you have to force people to vaccinate their kids.
But not vaccinating your kids gets other kids sick and spreads.
No, only other vaccinated kids.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. So I don't have a moral obligation.
But not only other unvaccinated kids. I'm sorry, my daughter.
We're getting off topic, though.
I know, but my daughter has diabetes, and if she's around an unvaccinated kid, it's even though she's vaccinated, it's a serious issue.
Right.
And there's
serious on because I'm not sure that's true, Knock.
Well, that's what I was told is that
I don't think so.
She's at higher risk to get sick, and if she gets sick, then it's a big problem.
I don't think that's true. I'm just telling you, I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
that's what the doctors told me.
At any rate,
and just to the issue with that, like I said, I think there's better. I think that before we have to start forcing people, before we have to force people to start, to
before
start
we force
doing
anyone to do anything. Right.
There should be better programs in place, and we talked about you guys brought up some of these things. Better sex education. Marty brought up better supportive systems in place for post birth. Whether it's increased maternity leave or increased benefits for the parents that are taking care of the kids. These are things that we can invest into to take away the negative stigma from that some people view having a kid was going to bring into their life. And if we can get rid of those attitudes, then that's great. And those are again things that we should be working towards, because the more that we can increase the more that we can decrease some of the negative stigma that's gone along with people having kids or like wanting to terminate a pregnancy, then we'll see an overall decrease in the numbers of abortions, and that's the way that I think that we should approach this, rather than just legislating it saying it's illegal.
Right, but to the original question though, where is the difference in the analogy though between one human being donating, for example, bone marrow to save another human being's life versus a woman donating her womb to save a fetus's life?
Yeah, so the analogy is simple, and let me try to explain this again, because I thought I kind of explained this before, but like I said, you should never be legally required to do this or feel like they have a legal obligation towards this. But I think that the things like donating bone marrow, for example, is something that we can.
Moral thing to do.
Okay, do you want me to finish or not?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Okay. When it comes to moral obligations, so when it comes to like a bone marrow donation, like if you're the the one in however many people that can give a bone marrow transplant to somebody, it's a painful procedure, but you know what, there is a moral good in that, because again, this is something that's increasing the preservation of life. So yeah, no one's going to make you legally responsible for that, but we want to make sure that we raise enough attitude and education within the population to know that this is a good thing that we should have a moral obligation to do, but not be regulated to do it by law. And that's where I think that there is a comparison between those analogies.
Well, now the problem.
Right. Well, I mean, my point. Sorry, let me just recap it, and then I'll stop. My point being that it should not be required by law to force someone to do what is potentially even morally correct against their will with their own body.
Okay,
so I don't think you're going to get any disagreement here at all about
that was
legislating.
Literally the only point I wanted to make.
Which, but he thinks pregnancy being forced to carry to term is a forced thing, and that's not accurate.
All right, well, I'm backing out now.
I've been waiting, and I was going to go after Marty, but I wanted Sokka to respond because I think that he breaks down analogies very well. So, as far as legal precedent goes, the ultimate caveat that we have to most discussions, whether it's vaccinations or abortion or guns or gay rights or whatever the case may be, is the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which is basically the states' rights amendment. And a lot of libertarians will argue that it's better to have states' rights than have the federal government interjecting its opinion and legislating on that basis. So the real question for basically every argument that we have that has some kind of legal precedent or clause involved in it is, where do we draw the line at states' rights, and where do we want the federal government interjecting legislation or imposing legislation in all respective questions. So like with marijuana, medical or recreational use, that's another big one. I live in New York. It's a blue state, but marijuana is not legalized, but it almost doesn't matter because every other place around me has legal marijuana, including Canada, if I really wanted to get in a car 6 hours. But basically, even if you live in the center of the state, it's only a few hour drive, and if you come with $200-300 to wherever you're going, you can get as much as you want legally there. So it's like, well, you could just literally move. So it's sort of a double-edged sword in that you can just go to where the thing is legal and do it legally in that state, but the state adding caveats to that, like they are in Georgia, where even if you have an abortion out of state, is a bridge too far, even with states' rights.
Yeah.
So that's the argument I think that we need to be having, or the discussion that we need to be having on basically every political issue that comes up, is where do states' rights and the federal government begin.
And we got 11 minutes, guys. So
right.
That and why aren't we talking about the evolution of where they've went with this too? Maybe you can speak to this, but there has been an evolution of kind of just nastiness when it comes to this pro-life movement and what they want to do with these different laws. So it went from let's get it down and make sure that there's no late-term abortions, and then it metamorphosed into, well, all abortion is bad. And now it's pretty much like, I don't care if you're raped. I don't care if you're a child that's been molested by a family member.
That's the thing, right?
All abortion is bad. Yeah. Fuck you, human beings. Well, nobody's really talking about that evolution of the nastiness that this thing is
problem.
To,
Well, I live in Georgia, so I want to touch on the Georgia bill real quick. Yeah, I think like Will said the states' rights thing is relevant, because let's say, I can't get pregnant, obviously, but let's say I was raped and I got pregnant and I wanted to have an abortion. I can't have an abortion in Georgia. If I go have an abortion elsewhere, I can be arrested. I can be tried for murder. I can be tried for murder, even in the case of rape. I mean.
Yeah. That is the newest level of nastiness now. Is let's put it in prison.
And yet they pretend they care about human life.
It's that. See, that's why.
Right. So, and nobody's talking about that aspect. Well, people are.
I would now be legally obligated, if I was still able to get pregnant. I am now, every woman in Georgia, once this thing really goes through, if it does, are legally obligated to carry a pregnancy to full term, whether they want to or not. That's some fucked up shit.
Okay, so
here's what your stance is. That's some fucked up shit.
Here's how you fix this problem. You see, because it's a real human issue that this bombastic and edgy language inevitably is an effective rhetorical tool. And the president of the United States currently has proven that it's an effective rhetorical tool. People like edgy fucking shit. Now, most people that are I don't know what you'd say, technically literate or internet savvy, do not get their information from Fox News and CNN anymore. They don't trust the media. They get it from people who look like Knock or Styx Hexenhammer or the Amazing Atheist on Deep Fat Fried. They get it from people like us. So if you want to fix the culture is coming from the internet, and we're on the internet talking on the internet right now. So the best way to sort of filter out some of this bullshit is to start kicking people from the conversation who insist on engaging in bombastic and edgy rhetoric in what is supposed to be a serious conversation where we're actually trying to solve issues. Because if we're not actually trying to solve anything and we're just having a conversation, then you might as well go check out Brett Keen's stream.
Well, you'll learn this more about me as you go along. My line, like I don't. So I like genuine, and if you're genuinely passionate, I'll make a lot of forgiveness for you. You know, so even if you're on the other side of the argument,
what's another tough decision we have to make? It's just another in a long line of tough decisions that we have to make.
I do have a line now. Don't get me wrong, Will. Like, so I booted Darth Dawkins twice now, and it's because he's not a genuine fuck. You know,
Brett's kicked Darth Dawkins multiple times.
You know,
John is kicked.
Yeah, I think everybody on it. But I'm just saying that I do have a line. But it's, you know, I understand passion, and see, this is why I try to dodge around this issue like all night, because I don't think people, when you say, and I commend you because you're being serious after the original burst of will that we had.
Right.
You've done really well, but I've dodged around the issue because it's really hard and, well, really easy for it to get emotional. You're talking about human life. As a humanist, I generally don't like to be in a position where I'm advocating for ending life of any kind. I put it out there. I'm a far leftist. I had really weird ideas. Like I try not to step on ants, you know. So these are just discussions that can take you to an emotional place, and I forgive that, because to me it is an emotional issue, and that they use that to their advantage. And that's why what you're saying is how really there's no resolution to these conversations because of that emotional aspect. And
it's really easy to get
emotional. You know,
it's really easy to get wrapped up in it.
Yeah, it's really easy to become too impassioned and not critical enough of what you're saying. You know, so it's why I try to dance around the. You know, when I talk about these issues, I like to do like solo videos to where I can just place my stance and to hell with the argument, because the argument's going to produce a lot of fuzz.
Both sides are going to have to make some concessions.
Something like this with these extreme bills has to be discussed. It has to be.
It has to be discussed, but it's just so easy in these big settings of rooms when there's so many people that it can go to a really dark place really quickly, and nobody's wrong. So and then you have the dumpster fire that ensued several times. That's one thing I like about, you know, Saka can come in and really bring some rational arguments. I disagree with him politically, but he kind of calms it down and then makes you listen and really think about your position. So
Saka talks for 30 minutes and doesn't let you have a chance to speak.
Well, several of us have spoken in this 30-minute period. I was angry last night at John, and it came out.
I love you all.
You fucker. We have 4 minutes, so closing statements, everybody.
Okay, I haven't spoke at all on this. Saka was right. You all are all wrong. If you don't agree with Saka, he's smarter than you all.
So you're talking about his beliefs on God, right?
Of course not. No, I'm just joking. I like that, at least on this channel, and I'm sure there's others too, but at least on this channel, you give people a chance to share their worldviews, to share their point of view, even if you disagree with them, and I think that's commendable.
Oh, thank you, man. I try to.
And I appreciate you letting me be on here. I truly do. And I mean that from a humble standpoint, because I got booted from almost every Christian community I was ever a part of because I disagreed with them on their negative and very dogmatic viewpoints on God.
It's definitely entertaining when you come on, because, I mean, everybody hates you more than they hate me.
So, nobody in your community hates you, dude.
Well, yeah, but I have some haters, and I get extreme sometimes. I perfectly understand it, but you bring a lot of attraction.
Well, that's what I'm here for, is to help popularize your channel.
There's an entertainment value, but I enjoyed the conversation. I meant to. I'm going to email you my phone number so we can have that private conversation.
Right, for the thing we talked about, yeah.
But I think you know my position, and it's just I'm going to try to play peacemaker. You know how I'm the raging atheist, but I usually try to play peacemaker.
No, because you don't. You like you said before. You don't want like what do they call it when everybody's like having the same opinion?
Yeah, it would be very boring to me. I think.
Right, like
echo chamber.
Echo chamber. That's the word. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, I definitely don't want an echo chamber here.
Yeah, so you're looking for people with different perspectives. You're willing for theists to come in and give their point of view, because if it's coming from a very ignorant or negative standpoint, you want the opportunity to say, hey, here's how we combat this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But even with my worldview, like we haven't really got into like, you know, what do I hold to be true as far as God or the Bible or Jesus? We haven't even really got into that yet.
I know we're going to, because I've watched a couple of your videos.
Yeah, like you and I should actually have that conversation. Let's have that back and forth so that people can see that we just don't suck each other's dicks every night, you know?
Yeah, we definitely do, because I have seen a couple of your videos.
I want to see that video.
2 minutes. 2 minute warning.
It might be on Pornhub already. You just never know.
Real quick, I just want to say thanks for letting me, because I don't really talk about that often. Like my parents don't even know.
Thank you for sharing that story, Marty. I just want to commend you on the bravery of that, and I'm impressed, and I think that's important. It's usually a moment that I would cut out, but I'm not going to do that. I just want to thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Yeah, my parents don't even know that. They didn't even know I was pregnant, because I just didn't want to have to deal with all of that. And I don't usually like to talk about it much, but like I was like I said in the side chat, in this chat, I said when Will saw it, I said, if we're going to talk about abortion, as the only woman in the room, I think I'd like to weigh in on that. So, but thanks for letting me.
Oh yeah, no, anytime. Like I really love this. I love meeting new people. It was really nice to meet you, Snuffy. I think I commented that I really like your name.
Thank you. Technically, it's my youngest dog's name. I and my family run a dog rescue.
That's awesome. Right?
He's the youngest and cutest, and I made a YouTube channel originally just to, document my dogs, but atheism hit me in the face.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, all pit bulls are going to hell.
Oh, don't say that.
Well,
I have a pit.
I'm going there with them, because that's going to be the most cutest, funnest, lovingest place ever.
Yeah, my brother's got a pit bull. It is the best dog of all time. I swear. It's nobody's gonna mess with my daughter if that dog is around. I'm just gonna tell you that. He loves children. He loves children.
Marty's smacking me with her smile.
Yeah, I have a pit bull mix.
Hey, I'll go ahead and bow out next.
The biggest dummy ever. I love him.
Thank you. Hey, Cheshire Vic.
Yeah, way to show up at the end, Cheshire. You were supposed to be in here.
Yeah, thank you, Snuffy. I appreciate your passion, man.
And I was, I was kind of uncivil when I showed up, because it's the end of the night, and I've already been on YouTube comments for a while. But if I can say a couple things and leave real quick, Marty, thank you for sharing so much. It's touching and kind of, like that underscores the reason why I'm a humanist, and I'm trying to understand other people's points of view and work for the greater good of everyone.
Thanks.
Sokka, I'd never even heard of you before, but you seem to be the voice of reason, and I'm glad we finally cleared up things at the end of the night. Messenger, we should have a debate at some point. Thanks, Knock. I never called you Knock before, Raging Atheist, but I now understand your heritage, because I watched your stuff earlier, and I understand you a lot. I feel for you. Me and you have also had addiction problems in the past. And the guy whose screen name says Will, who I also don't know, because I literally have met everyone tonight for the first time. Like, thanks for also being a voice of reason and stepping in when things got heated.
Yeah, man, I appreciate all of that. Thank you.
That's Will Kincaid's first compliment ever.
Yeah, you just set a Guinness Book of World Records. Like
that from Will.
I think Will was the one that set the Guinness Book of World Records for being an idiot that pretended not to be an idiot for the longest time.
Yeah, So I guess
here's the thing. Sometimes
Well, I'm proud of you, bro.
boil things
I am
down.
very proud of you, Will, man. You impressed me tonight, man.
You got to boil things down to the simplest point of view, so that an idiot can understand it. Otherwise, how else is anyone going to understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sort of uncloseted from my autism. If you couldn't have guessed by any of my other fucking videos, so smoking totally legal tobacco really helps me level out. So I was in the middle of the conversation. I was like, I should probably get really fucked up on totally legal nicotine here, and yeah, I can function like you normies when I do that. My brain is my brain. So, but
don't lose the comedy though, Will, because
no,
I've been in a really thoughtful place and cleaning and thinking about life and all that bullshit. And you came in and made me laugh, and I was rolling. I'm not gonna lie, man. The reaction from I think Immutable and Macabre at the time when you came in, we were having such a deep fucking conversation. I'm like, man, I think I'm not sure if I quite understand what's going on, but I know it's brilliant. And then you just come on and you're fucking yourself, dude. So it was a good moment.
My general message is to probably not take things so seriously so that you don't get involved in that bombastic conversation that goes nowhere. I'm like the guy who carries the fire extinguisher around, putting out dumpster fires wherever I see them. So sometimes you need a guy to come in and just fuck shit up so that we can restructure the discussion or the debate in a way that's meaningful. So
and instead we got about 3 or 4 different separate dumpster fires, and it was beautiful.
I know, and I've been here on standby with the fucking fire extinguisher all night. So fucking
you
peace
did a
and
good
love.
job, man. I'm proud of you. You can come in on serious conversations now, Will.
I think apologize. I get triggered by a few things. I've only lived in Texas for 6 years, and moving here was like a slap in the face to my morality and sensibilities. So
yeah, I can only imagine. Like I said, my friend lives down there, and he's on Facebook all the time bitching about it. It's like I'm like, dude, why'd you move to Texas?
Right, states' rights.
So
yeah.
So I think that it's like my final thing. It's a shame that you're ending now because
I know. I know. I wish I didn't have to, but I'm tired.
Because like the conversation,
everybody's going on Jeff Passek's channel for the after show, just in case anybody wants to continue on conversation. He's trying to start something up.
Where's the link?
I might stop in for a moment. So yeah, please continue the conversation over there. I might stop in and check it out for a moment, but I am like exhausted. I need to get some
everybody
sleep.
Email Jeff who wants to get in on that.
Send me an email here. I don't know who the hell that is.
How do I find that?
No, you email him, Will.
Yeah, I know, but where is?
It's in the chat.
He posted in the chat. Jeff Passek at Gmail.
I sent you a link, Jeff.
Where's
So
in the chat? Where in our sidebar or in YouTube?
In the
video chat.
Because I do feel like that finally we got some good discussion on this abortion issue. I want to thank Sokka for coming in. I think I was able to kind of calm it down a little bit, and then definitely when Sokka came in and provided a level of logic to the conversation, even though I'm in disagreement with him, it really, we got to a point where we were actually talking about the subject, and it was great for there. And I want to thank all of you for that, because I've really gotten tired of talking about abortion the last 2 days.
Which is good, because I think the next conversation should be about the comparison between conservative ideologies in the U.S., the Republican Party compared to conservative ideologies around the rest of the world.
Yes,
which would be kind of an interesting conversation, because I don't think the Republicans are conservative, and also the discussion about the 10th Amendment and states' rights, and whether that's just an archaic kind of remnant of the past. That was put into the Constitution, or whether it actually has applications today that should be utilized, is a great conversation. And I find these topics fascinating, which is why I'm not too popular at dinner parties. So
me too.
I find you popular, and in fact, I would really appreciate it if you would email me or whatever, because I need to learn how to be as calm as you are with your points. I'm very impressed at your ability to succinctly describe things without getting emotional, because you kind of made my point for me, and I appreciate it so much.
No problem.
Yeah, Sokka is we had this kind of little conversation about it in my comment section earlier. Like he's a real conservative, a real, what I would call a real Republican, right? So he actually knows the ideology and is able to explain it. And I've said this about him often. Like, it's really hard to have political conversations with Sokka because he makes you question whether or not you're right. And when you do that in politics, you win.
I want to question down to the core of my beliefs, specifically.
Oh, and me too. I'm right there on that with you. I get just as passionate about it as you do, and that's why I understood why you were passionate about it, and I'm willing to allow that because.
But when you run into people who just distract from the conversation and try to make it about your motives or what some other thing that's going on, or what's your ideology or what's your worldview, and I'm like, well, I mean, I might be easily distracted, and that leads to another argument that is not the argument that I was even here to present.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to stay on subject and actually talk about the point that I was here to talk about is something that I appreciate.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
And I appreciate, that, my point was kind of made for me once I was able to have the time to lay it out and present it from different points of view.
Yeah, and I think it was a good point. And as always with these things, which please everybody go to Jeff Passek's channel. It's a YouTube channel, right? Is it called Jeff Passek?
Yep.
All right, so I'll dip in over there. I'm not going right to sleep. I think only going 40 minutes late is like a record for me. So let's make it 40 minutes. So I'm going to say goodbye. And please go to Jeff Passek and go to the after show. I'll see you guys later.